Welcome to Phil Phails. My name is Philip Jones, and today my guest is Jamie Figari. She is a LCSW and holistic psychotherapist. Wave at everybody. Did you look at the camera when I introduced you?
I did not.
Look at it right there. Look at the people. Wave.
All right.
Yeah, and today Phil Phails at Narcissism. We're gonna talk about narcissism today.
Yeah, I hear it a lot.
I want to start with the Greek story, which I told myself I was gonna like research it before you got here, but I didn't. I'm gonna do it by memory, and you can help me.
Yeah.
Like the idea is this guy, Narcissus. He went to this lake and saw his reflection in the water of the lake and stood there and just admired it and looked at it forever until he died.
Yes. And then he withered away and turned into a flower, I think is how it ended.
He turned into a flower?
I think so. I think that's how it ended. I actually looked it up again last night.
You did?
Yeah.
And he withered away and turned into a flower?
I think it was, he was so in love with himself that he turned away any bids for attention or love. Yeah. So he just became so in love with himself that he just stared at his reflection until he just withered away.
Narcissus. Dang, guy. And that's the foundation for this personality disorder that we're going to talk about through the lens of relationship, how it shows up in relationship, how it shows up.
Yeah, we can talk about how it shows up in clinical setting, how it shows up in relationships, how it shows up in our modern day culture, you know?
I just want to know how every girl I know found out how to clinically diagnose this thing, because it seems like every woman I know is able to clinically diagnose one of their ex-boyfriends as narcissist. I have been clinically diagnosed by some people that weren't they weren't therapists, but they were very confident.
Of course.
Like, this dude's he's a narcissist.
Yeah.
I'm like, you sure? I just was like wanting to go to band practice, you know?
Well, that will kind of lead into that, I think, right? Is because what I would say is that, you know, this person, a narcissist, you're hearing it a lot in our culture. But what we don't talk about is maybe the traits of narcissism and what differentiates narcissistic traits between narcissistic traits and then a full-blown personality disorder, someone that meets clinical criteria for that diagnosis, right? Narcissistic traits are not all bad. We need them actually for self-preservation. We all have an ego, and without having a sense of self, we're not able to have boundaries or protect ourselves. So we have to have some, you know, ability to form a sense of self that is self-focused, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
we all have narcissistic traits.
Yeah, sure.
And some of them are healthy. Some of them are normal and healthy.
Yeah, I would say in a lot of individuals that have express, I guess, have a higher expression of what one might perceive as narcissistic. You know, there can be a lot of charisma, a lot of confidence. It's not all bad, right? There's a difference between that trait becoming something that impacts your life in a way that is pathological, where maybe it looks more like an excessive need for power or control or dominance.
Yeah.
It can even bleed into antisocial behavior patterns and, you know, things like that.
Yeah, so. You said charisma. Now all I'm doing is trying to think of what the kids call that now. Is it Rizzler? Riz?
Riz.
Is that Riz? That's charisma?
Yeah, I think so. I think we're using it right.
Riz.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just so everybody out there knows what Jamie's talking about, sometimes people with narcissistic personality disorder have mad Riz.
I have the Riz. Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Goodness. And what are some of the positive ones? You talked about self-protection or having a positive self-image. There's probably parts of it like, I'm beautiful, I'm smart, I'm strong.
Right.
All those are,
I would say, positive. It could be someone who might have higher traits of narcissism can also be very charismatic and can bring people together, you know? And you see this a lot in positions of where people excel in their job because they're able to bring people together in ways that, maybe is there some self-indulgence there? I don't know. But if you're able to if you're able to bring a big group of people together and they're able to, unite people in a specific way because you have the ability to capture a room, with your own charisma I don't know, that's not inherently a bad quality, right?
I guess it depends on what you do with that room.
It depends on I think it's what you do with it.
Because we talked about earlier, before we started, this influence. Like, we're easily influenced. So once you have someone's attention, how are you influencing them?
Yeah, that's a big one. Well, another thing that I think is important, and we don't hear it discussed in this way, but narcissism exists on a spectrum.
It does?
Yeah. So we hear, I think when it's referred to in modern culture, we talk most about the grandiosity.
We talk about Trump, yo. I'm just kidding.
Sure, there's lots
but no, we do. People do say
of, self-importance and crazy attention, validation.
So that's the grandiose side.
Yeah,
that's this like narcissism out of balance.
Yeah, it could be more when you have these high traits of grandiosity, you might require excessive admiration, or you might even exploit individuals or manipulate individuals to get your needs met. So you can see there's some maladaptive qualities there,
right?
Things that are not helpful,
and antisocial too.
It can, and often narcissistic personality disorder overlaps with other personality disorders,
like
and
coexisting conditions or comorbidities.
Yeah. So you can see a lot of the similar traits in individuals that might have borderline tendencies or antisocial behavior. And then of course there's sort of a cluster of personality disorder called the cluster B. So borderline personality disorder, antisocial personality disorder, narcissistic personality disorder, and then histrionic personality disorder. So
those are clustered together?
Yeah, they're kind of clustered together. So you see a lot of those traits kind of overlap, but
The only one of those I'm not familiar with is the histrionic.
Yeah, so it can be a really strong need for attention-seeking behaviors, but on a grand scale.
Okay.
So that can lead to exploitation, things like that. Yeah.
So on one side of this spectrum, we have grandiosity, grandiose, narcissism.
Yeah.
What's on the other side?
Narcissistic vulnerability.
Narcissistic. Is that like the perpetual victim?
It's like the perpetual victim, someone that's super hypersensitive. They might be really emotionally reactive. Yeah. And
someone who pretends to be sick all the time, maybe? Is that one?
Well,
what is that called? You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I forget the word for it. Anyway.
Someone
that's like, I'm sick all the time. If you watch Ferris Bueller's Day Off, it was Ferris's friend. Yeah. He was always sick.
I know exactly what you're thinking of, and it's just escaping me right now.
Me too. That's okay. If someone knows what we're talking about, put it in the comments, and we'll know then.
Yeah. So I would say, it shows up. That is more, so we talk about the grandiose narcissism as more of the overt narcissistic traits, but the narcissistic vulnerability is much more covert, and it's not as maybe easily identifiable.
Really?
Yeah. So it might be harder to identify someone as being overly self-indulgent in their own victimhood, but that's certainly a thing.
Because it could be victims.
Yeah, they could actually be victims.
They could actually be victims,
for sure.
But also overindulging in it, that's harder to figure out.
It could be harder to figure out. And I think one way to maybe break that down might be the inability to see how your own behavior is feeding a specific dynamic. So if you're constantly seeing yourself in this place of victimhood across a bunch of different environments, and it's like everything is happening to me all the time. Like and this is congruent across a variety of different settings. Maybe this person finds themselves in a place of victimhood in their personal relationships, or maybe it shows up in their place of work.
Yep.
So when you see it cross different contexts, then I would say that you're starting to see more of that pathological behavior.
It's a strategy that they have for getting attention or getting some kind of social stimuli or
what I would say, and I think this is super important, is that when I think about narcissism, it's important to understand that if we're really being empathetic, that those narcissistic traits on both ends come from a place of pain. They usually emerge from a place of
there's trauma underneath that.
There's usually, and that's usually indicative in their family system in early childhood, where, you know, they might have had a rupture, an attachment with their primary caregiver, and that can look a lot of different ways. So it's interesting. And so when you think about it, you can imagine how somebody that has really high grandiosity appears on the outside to have a ton of self-confidence, but at the core, that sense of self is very fragile.
Yeah.
Because their sense of themselves, they have difficulty seeing other people as their own individuals, but more as an extension of themselves. So if you think of it, an example of that might be a parent who is overly critical of their child for, you know, really focuses on love being attached to achievement, academic pursuits, or, you know, but they're kind of living vicariously through their child. And when that child doesn't meet the mark, that's a reflection. They're perceiving that as a reflection.
Because their love is conditional. Yeah. They've shown them the conditions.
Transactional.
Yeah, transactional. Yeah. I'm so glad you said that. It leads me to share the intention for the time that we're having here, sure. What we're talking about, and why we're talking about narcissism. And I met with Jamie like a week ago or 2 weeks ago about returning to the show and doing a series where we talk about personality expressions. I'm reluctant to say disorder. I don't like that word, sure. But they are disorders. But the different ways humans express socially, psychologically, or whatever we want to call it. And a lot of them are disorders, whether it's OCD, borderline personality disorder, ADHD, narcissistic personality disorder, which we're talking about today. I wanted to normalize and kind of understand these expressions, these human expressions on one side, and also understand healing modalities on the other side, whether it's cognitive behavioral therapy, dialectical behavioral therapy, whether it's EMDR or, you know, a lot of the psychedelic stuff, the psychedelic assisted psychotherapy, whatever that's called.
Psychedelic assisted therapy.
That and anything else that's out there that you know about. I wanted to have a professional therapist come on the show and us have discussions about these things and take them one at a time. Like one talk would be about narcissism, or one talk would be about this healing modality. And through that, like Jamie and I will develop a relationship over time where we get more comfortable with each other, and you guys will get to understand how people express.
Sure.
And a big part of that is why they express, so that we can increase compassion and empathy. Absolutely.
I think it's so important to look at it through that lens, because, you know, when I say that individuals who struggle, and when I say to be diagnosed with MPD, there's a whole list of qualities or characteristics: grandiose sense of self, exaggerate. This is from the DSM-5.
Okay, we're going to go through the DSM-5 now. What are they?
Criteria: exaggerated achievements and talents, expects to be recognized as superior without commensurate achievements. So that's a big one. Preoccupied with fantasies of unlimited success, power, brilliance, beauty.
Okay.
They might be special, unique. I don't have to go through all the lists, but sense of entitlement, a big one. And then one of the hallmarks is that lack of empathy, the inability to really have that experience of love that is truly reciprocal, not just where they're able to experience love in a way where their experience with another individual is not attached to what that person can do for them, but it's reciprocal. Like they can experience empathy for where that person is at and actually reflect that back to a person rather than it being attached to
some transaction
or being conditional. Yeah.
And how many of those do they have to meet before they get the diagnosis?
You have to meet at least 5 or more of the following, and there's several, but I see narcissistic traits show up all the time in clinical practice and just in the world, but that doesn't mean that I'm going and diagnosing an individual with narcissistic personality disorder. I might be using that as, okay, I'm perceiving that. I'm noticing that we might have some personality driven traits here. Mm-hmm. But I'm very, very hesitant to go and diagnose someone with a personality disorder.
I would imagine.
In terms of, because I'm going to be working with the set of symptoms regardless and trying to help them develop insight. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the traits that when someone comes into practice, they might have narcissistic traits or borderline traits, and they might be coming to me because maybe they had this huge scandal or something happened or their life
it could be acute.
Down.
It could be some life thing happened and now they're expressing that way.
Yeah, and it could look like they're having a really they're in a depressive episode, but then as you delve deeper, you start to see, oh, okay, maybe this person's self-identity has been challenged in some way, or they've had this experience where it's just broken down. And so they might be coming in, in a like what appears to be like a depressive episode, but you're still noticing, like observing, like, okay, there's some traits here.
Is there like a narcissism that I just had this idea that what if the holistic aspect, what if you changed a handful of those things, like got them sleeping every day for 8 hours and got them eating healthy and exercising? Could narcissism personality disorder go away if they dial in their lifestyle?
So I would say in this case, this is less tied to like lifestyle changes, because most of how it shows up is in their interpersonal life and in their relationships with other people. And that's across a variety of different contexts.
Yeah.
So it's more difficult, I think, where when you're looking at depression, it's like, okay, how's your diet? How are you sleeping?
Yeah.
But when you're working with narcissistic personality disorder, a lot of times what's bringing that person into therapy is that their relationships are breaking down, or they're not able to see how their traits might be impacting people in the workplace. Maybe they're in a position of power, but they can't see how their inability to experience empathy is impacting their employees. Like continue working even though you have a sick child at home.
Yeah.
That inability to experience empathy. And so it shows up more in the interpersonal relationships and different environments.
You learned through your studies, all the DSM, you learned all these disorders.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely study them. You don't memorize. I mean, I
wonder if it's like, my buddy's a doctor and he had to like learn all these diseases. And he said, as he was like learning them, he was like, I've got that one. I've got that one. Have you ever thought you had narcissistic personality disorder?
I think that there's definitely things that you can look at when you're going through the criteria, and you're like, whoa, okay,
that's me.
Do I have struggle identifying needs of others in this specific context or something, like you can definitely get in your head about it.
Yeah.
And certainly, I mean, like I said, these things, they exist on a spectrum.
Right.
So we might have certain traits, but does that mean that we have like a full-blown personality disorder? Or even, and what I would say is it's never helpful to say to someone like, you have
this thing.
I mean, maybe I say never. I don't want to use absolute terms. But
what's coming clear to me is part of the diagnosis is feedback from the external, like feedback from your social systems, right? If they're like, oh, this isn't working because the way you're showing up at home in the family dynamic. And this isn't working because of the way you're showing up at work, this lack of empathy, this lack of like, you taking credit for
other people's like accomplishments.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
And that happens. And then this community starts to kind of revolt. And then that probably drives isolation or being ostracized, or which can be a downward spiral in itself.
So oftentimes what you see when someone with those traits, their sense of self is challenged, then you can often see what they refer to it as like narcissistic rage.
They respond with anger.
They might respond with anger or reactivity, or they might, on the opposite end, withdraw, pull themselves away, withdraw from others, become socially isolated. I think because this is, again, on the vulnerability side, thinking of themselves as maybe special or no one gets me. Their sense of, no one gets me. That's a big one, right? Like no one understands me. No one can see what I've gone through.
Yeah.
And, it's a really interesting thing. I've done a lot of self-reflection on this too, because I think when we see this in our culture, this term being thrown around, I think it's, for one, I think it's not helpful, but it also doesn't, if we over-identify and we're just calling someone else a narcissist, are we able to see how our own behaviors? It's very easy when someone has really strong personality-driven traits like that, where you can say like they're on the extreme end of the grandiosity scale, then oftentimes there is a victim. And oftentimes individuals who narcissists will often attract with very empathic people. And that's
if they could take advantage of?
Because there's a narcissistic supply. But when that breaks down and so if you think about their relationship with a narcissist might look in the beginning, it might look drastically different. It might look like a lot of when we say the term love bombing.
Yeah, love bombing. That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Where it might look like very extravagant trips or gifts or just, oh my gosh, I've never met anyone like you.
Because they're like pulling them in.
Yeah. And I would say it's not always intentional. It might even be completely subconscious. Not always, but.
Yeah. These people aren't like putting together a plan on their computer. Like first I'm going to love bomb, then I'm going to. It's part of their default mode network, if you will. Like
it's how they've experienced love from this conditional way, and it's seeing it as being almost receiving love in a way that felt transactional, or maybe they were overly praised without their accomplishments really matching. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes, I do see what you're saying.
So like this comes up a lot in this culture of like, are we building resilient kids? Or are we giving everybody a trophy that's not attached to any sort of real
action or behavior? Yes.
Yeah.
They need to go to some metric that says, I've excelled at this.
Yeah.
It needs to make sense.
It needs to make sense.
And I'm down with us having more metrics.
Sure.
I'm down with us saying, oh, it's not just who scored the most touchdowns. It's also, and I'm not a sports guy, so I'm gonna fumble on this one. I just used a sports one, but how many touchdowns, but also how many people blocked somebody who was running fast, or maybe got a ball out of the sky that was meant for somebody else, or somebody who just a bunch of different ways to demonstrate success.
Right. Well, we talk about it too. It's like that experience with frustration and that learning space. And if we're just providing accolades without it being attached to achievement, without our children actually experiencing any sort of frustration as a result of losing, how do you build resilience? Yeah,
I got an aside here. I was listening to there's this radio show called Jubal. It's like this morning show where they do this second date update. Have you heard of this?
Yes, of course. I know exactly. I love to listen to the radio, and I don't know why I'm old school. It's just my generation, I think. I grew up listening to the radio, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay, so I'm going to share an event and tell me what you think. So this guy, he was he found a woman to go on a date with. They both were single parents.
Yeah.
And they had set a date. And the day the date came, he was like, oh my goodness, I need to cancel because my son's got a baseball game. And so he let her know that. And she said, well, why don't we just go together to the game? And he was like, sure, that's awesome. You're willing to go to one of my kids' games. So they went to the game, had a great time at the game, supported the son. I think he went and got popcorn for them. And she said, well, if you give me popcorn, I'll give you a kiss or something. So there was some like romantic energy. That seems like some real flirty stuff. So everything was going great. And then the son lost the game. And then they went to dinner afterwards and she never talked to him again. And he was like, I don't know what happened.
Wow.
We need to call her and figure out what happened. You know what happened?
What happened?
At the end of that dinner, the son asked for ice cream. And the dad said, you didn't win, no ice cream for you because you didn't win the game.
Wow.
And they were kind of split.
Yeah.
Some people were like, well, you could have a relationship where we celebrate victories. Like when you win the game, we celebrate with ice cream. But the mom was like dead set on, you just give the kid ice cream. And I was kind of torn too. I could see a little bit of both sides. Like,
I mean, again, I think it kind of feeds with love being like, that kind of ties into that aspect of, is this, if that kid experiences, you know, that ice cream as something that was his father providing him with, that is a gesture of love, then
do I have to win games to get your love?
I have to, it just depends. Is it, so that's tough because it kind of, that goes back to that idea of, okay, if I don't meet this mark, is love being taken away? Now I think that's, I don't know how that child is experiencing, if that was a part of their relationship, something that they celebrated together, and then it's like, no, you're taking this away from me because I didn't win the game.
Maybe he could have done something where he loved him a bunch, but still said, hey, it's kind of a ritual that we have that when you win the game, we get ice cream, but I love you. You're an awesome kid. I'm really proud of all the stuff. But the kid the dude on the phone call kind of doubled down on it. He was like, he didn't really run fast enough. He didn't really perform out there. The guy kind of turned out to be a little bit of a Chad, if you will. But well,
I think then too, it's sort of like, how much are you living through your kid?
Yeah.
You know, where now his expression of love is tied to how well he did in the game. That's tough.
So you would have been on the ladies, the mom's side.
I mean, I think it's all how it's handled too, but I would say, if that was something that is generally a way that he sees that as an experience of a loving gesture, and that's taken away because he doesn't do something well. No, I don't know. You know, when I was in softball as a kid, like we would go and we would get ice cream when we won the game. It was like a thing that we all did.
What would you do when you lost the game?
We wouldn't go. And that was fine. But it wasn't like it was just implied.
Yeah.
It was sort of like, this is what you do when you win, but you don't go when you don't win.
Yeah.
And that, I never experienced that as like it being taken away from me. It's just like, it was a
ritual.
It was a ritual. And the ritual existed when we won the game.
Right.
But I didn't feel like it was being taken away from me when I didn't win. It was just like, this
you
doesn't.
Probably got loved regardless.
Sure.
You get love. Love isn't about winning or losing the game.
Right, exactly.
But ice cream could be.
Well, and in this case, I'd probably lean on the side of
the mom.
Yeah.
This brings me to another question. Can narcissism only manifest in a male-bodied person?
No.
You sure?
I'm positive. No.
You mean there's lady narcissists?
Yes. So here's what I'll say. I actually pulled up sort of the statistics before just to kind of see where it was at, because it is more prevalent that it's diagnosed as a personality disorder in men. It's about around 7% in U.S. culture, and then around 4% in women.
Oh, really?
So it's still diagnosed in women, but it's
half as much. Do you think that's just they're not? But women in general are underdiagnosed for personality disorders. Is that true? I know for ADHD, they're underdiagnosed. Like, it's less likely that women get ADHD diagnosed than men.
Well, here's what I'll say is that if you look at the grandiosity, that shows up, and it's more, I think that those attributes tend to show up more it's more prevalent that those characteristics show up within the male population. But the narcissistic vulnerability,
The
those traits
victim part.
is sort of equally dispersed between genders.
Men and women.
Yeah. And but what I would say, and this is maybe more anecdotal, is I think that I'm not sure that people are experiencing, when they hear narcissism, I'm not sure that they're thinking of it in the way of narcissistic vulnerability and this preoccupation with a sense of victimhood or things happening to me, if that makes sense. And I had this conversation with a friend of mine today because he was asking me about my podcast and whatnot. And we were talking about it. And it was evident to me that it's like, okay, when he thinks of narcissism, he thinks of like somebody who's really has this really inflated sense of self. But when I shared with him, like, no, I'm actually going to talk about it being a spectrum and what it looks like on this other end of the spectrum. Yeah. And so to kind of give an example of how that might look from maybe a parenting perspective, maybe we can talk about what that is from maybe an emotionally immature parent who might rely on a child to meet their emotional needs.
They go emotionally dump on a child and expect them to hold space for them
maybe
with their old adult challenges.
At a place that's not developmentally appropriate to do so.
Right.
And not being able to experience, that sense of love, again, kind of being attached to the sense of victimhood. So...
Say that second part again.
Oh, I mean, that their sense of identity being so wrapped up in this place of victimhood. Yeah, sorry.
I see that. I've heard that happen where a parent will go to a kid and share family drama or what emotionally things they're going through, and the kid's like 10 or 12. And it's obvious they probably don't understand. They don't have the emotional maturity to support or hold space for that. But then the person who's doing it is someone they love and want care from. Sure. So they probably just...
Yeah, and that can be so... And I think we as parents, it's like we're not going to get everything right all the time, and certainly there's been times where I'm sure I've done that. And it's something that it's been, something I work on in my own therapy of especially if you're working with another parent, clarifying things versus emotionally dumping on them, and what does that look like, and trying to share things in a way that is developmentally appropriate for them to understand, where you're not placing yourself in this place of victimhood, where they're able to understand that there's a difference, I think, between like emotionally dumping and showing up as everything is happening to me, and versus like discounting the other parent or consistently blaming without really having the self-reflection to look at their own behavior.
And the thing I maybe struggle with could be on the other side of that coin or somewhere in the middle, wanting to share my emotional experience in a healthy way. Like this is what I'm feeling right now. These are the emotions that I'm experiencing right now, so that my kids can get that languaging, so that they can share their own experience, so that they can live that kind of vulnerable, authentic life where they say, I'm feeling sad.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I got these from Nonviolent Communication. I keep these all over the house, these feelings and needs cards. This one's got cobwebs on it.
I love that.
But I think it's important to be able to hone in on my internal landscape.
Yeah, absolutely.
And share it with my daughters. And I wonder, because sometimes they're like, that's not my fault. Like the response I'll get back from them, we said the message received is the message. I worry if the message they're receiving is, I'm feeling this emotion and it's because of you, as opposed to, I'm feeling this emotion. That's just what's here right now.
Right. Yeah. No, I think it's super important to be able to sort of teach your kids how to identify what it is that they're feeling. And, there's times where I think mirroring that, like I'm feeling really frustrated or overwhelmed because something happened at work, and I'm realizing that I need to take a step back. Yeah. Just go to my room, take some space so that I can be there for you guys.
Right.
So really being able to kind of identify your own emotions and teaching them to it's amazing. One of the things that I have in my therapy room at Bloom is the feelings wheel. We have a pillow. My colleague, she's amazing. We've worked together for years, but she brought in the feelings wheel. There's so many times that I'll use that in session because you realize the adults have such a limited vocabulary for the words that they might use to express their emotions.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And if we can just develop a broader vocabulary for what it is that we're actually feeling,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a completely, I think we tend to maybe, anger. We're angry, we're happy, we're sad.
Well, in that there's only really 4 emotions. I don't know if this is true or not, but there's that Inside Out movie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Which I think is a great movie for educating kids on emotions. And what is it? Anger, happiness, sadness, and what was the last one? Goodness. Anger, happy, sad, and
anxious, was it?
It was like jealousy, maybe. I don't remember.
Envy, maybe?
Envy, maybe.
Yeah, I don't remember. But
anyway, from those, it kind of blossoms out into this language tree of like, oh, I'm not feeling happy. I'm feeling exuberant or.
Yeah. No, and I think.
Do you think there's only 4 or 5 emotions?
No. Oh my goodness, no.
Because there's a spectrum there of emotions. It could be.
I think so many, if we think about when I would work in acute, I worked in acute psychiatric, I still do part-time, but one of the things that I would do often with the teens in that setting would be kind of the anger volcano. And we would talk about how it expresses that anger. It looks on the outset as anger, rage, aggression. But underneath, what is it that you're experiencing?
Sadness.
Fear of abandonment, loss of control. So there's these other things. So it's really helping them. So it's like, okay, it looks like you're angry, but what's really going on? Oh, you feel left because that friend
sadness.
has, like sadness, or feeling abandoned because now my best friend has a new best friend.
Yeah,
so it's
sadness.
Yeah.
That's the fear seems to be a really prevalent or it's like a secondary emotion that comes over to protect the sadness or protect the fear. Because at least for men, I don't know if you've read that book, the Terrence Real book. I really don't want to talk about it. I think I have it over there.
I haven't read that one, but I'm reading one of his books called Us. I think it's...
Is it the relational one?
Yes, the relational
I love Terrence Real.
Yeah.
The book is, I don't want to talk about it. If you want to borrow it, you're welcome to.
Oh, yeah.
But he talks about covert male depression, and its expression is anger oftentimes. And right underneath that is sadness, fear.
Yes.
But it comes out as this like arrogance or this like,
so much.
and they're sad.
So sad. And that's the thing is like going back to narcissism, their sense of self is very fragile. And that's coming from a place of being wounded. Somewhere in childhood, there was an experience that there was some sort of rupture with their attachment figure. Usually it's, closely tied to like a relationship with a mom or relationship with a primary attachment where they didn't fully go through those stages of development. And, there's a wound there that develops as a result of this developmental need that wasn't met. And, it can show up in a lot of different ways. But I don't know, it's just interesting. So if you can see someone that on the outside that presents in this way that seems very arrogant, entitled, they might show up. But then when you sit them down, you start to hear maybe some of their experiences of what they're going through. One of the things that shows up a lot is shame, this experience with shame. And actually that, if we're tying that into what are some really strong like clinical interventions for treating narcissistic personality disorder, it goes back to sort of helping the individual identify with these feelings of shame that are often like very deep rooted, because when they're not seeking external validation or those needs are not being met, or that, relationship breaks down and this person's no longer recognizing them or validating their experience, then they start to question, like, who am I then? If I, outside of this identity that I've cultivated for myself, usually at the core, there can be a really strong sense of self-doubt. There can be a lot of self-blame, criticism. And so if you can, oftentimes I'll go back to sort of what is their experience like in childhood with, a parent, or was there a time, oftentimes what you'll find is like they might have had a parent that was either overly doting or overly critical. Or both, and on different ends of the spectrum.
How many people have had that? I mean, I think that's kind of classic parenting. You got the mom who, I remember going to my mom and she just want to hug and kiss and all this stuff when you first see her. And then it's like a little bit overboard.
Yeah.
Or like, well, that's probably not an example. It'd probably be like, take whatever thing you did and make it huge. Would get you there. But it has to be extreme and probably frequently to get to this place.
Usually it comes from like a very wounded place. And so to be able to cultivate empathy and really kind of experiencing what it's like through the lens of their childhood experience, trying to identify with, okay, what was it like? What was this experience like when your father came down at you, or, you didn't score the point or make the touchdown, and that experience of love was like withheld.
You didn't get the ice cream.
Or you didn't get the ice cream.
Can narcissists be in relationships and healthy relationships?
So, I mean, I think you see. So again, if it exists on a spectrum, what I would say is individuals that have a really strong, might even identify with NPD because they meet full clinical criteria, they usually struggle in relationships. I'm hopeful. I think social workers, we tend to look at things through a lens of optimism, strength-based perspective. So we're trying to help an individual see that your sense of self is not fully tied to this thing or this achievement or whatever it is. But the relationship parts can be really challenging because if they're not, again, if they have this narcissistic supply and they're no longer experiencing that validation from the individual that they're seeking it from, then you could see how that breaks down.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it might show up across a lot of different behavior patterns. Maybe it causes someone to go outside of the relationship and
the partner or
maybe it might cause the partner
because they're fed up
it might look like maybe the person that has very strong narcissistic personality traits might seek validation outside of the relationship by experience conditional love with other people.
Yeah.
Because that supply at home is not being fueled. And so they need to have these experiences with other people that are filling that void.
Yeah, I could see folks that have this strong expression, this grandiose expression, being resistant to therapy, like not wanting to go into therapy or say, I don't have a problem or, So
one of the biggest challenges when working with this personality trait or the disorder itself is that because they have this need for self-preservation, they're often not open to their sense of self being challenged in any way that would allow for meaningful insight into their behaviors or how their patterns show up in a relationship.
So that makes your job or the job of a therapist out there really hard.
It can be challenging, but again, like it comes down to seeing what that person's really, what are they coming to you for?
Okay.
And that again, maybe something has broken down because this way of living, if you think about it, they're maladaptive coping skills or maladaptive behavior patterns that at some point, this is the thing, is that at some point, these patterns worked for them.
They worked for them.
They worked for
maybe when we talked about the narcissism character being in a binary with an empath. And maybe when that empath is depleted over many, many years and now has kind of had enough, and now there's starting to be challenges or resentment.
Right.
That's, it worked, but it worked, right?
Right.
It really didn't work. It was just someone hadn't matured, or someone hadn't really come to clarity about what was going on.
Well, the experience of love, it's trying to help someone develop empathy is a very difficult thing, so to being able to cultivate that with someone who might have really strong characteristics of not being able to experience things through the lens of another person, or really being able to resonate now through the lens of like self-compassion. And I think working with that piece of shame that is really coming from that place of woundedness, I think parts work is really good for this, like internal family systems.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you're able to see like, okay, what's the behavior that we're working with that might look like a narcissistic personality trait? It might look like some
protector,
sort of extreme behavior or extreme need for, like impulsivity, but maybe it even leans towards the lens of like antisocial behavior, where someone is willing to engage in corruption through that need for power, right? But then that breaks down, and now who are they at the core? Because that sense of self is so tied to being in this place of dominance. And then, but you see that, and it's like, how often are those people coming into therapy? Are they able to see that, okay, this behavior or way of exploiting individuals is not a healthy way of being?
Yeah.
And at the core, are they truly happy? Are they able to experience love?
Well, that requires intuition. That requires having some awareness into the impact of your behavior internally.
Yes.
If they're always in their head, they would just dodge and divorce, get a new partner, and say, I'm good, instead of thinking like, what is happiness? How's my nervous system through all of this? Am I supporting my mind, body, and spirit? And instead, like maybe 5 years down the road, getting cancer or some other like thing come up because they're living in their brain shut off from their body, and they're,
I mean, what I would say is that it's difficult when someone meets full criteria for that, but that doesn't mean that they're not capable. I believe everybody is capable of change.
Yeah.
If you can help them develop enough insight and the capacity for experiencing love in a real, genuine way. And I think often this is why the therapeutic relationship is so important, because they may not have had an experience of real love. But if you have someone in your chair that's willing to talk to you about all these behaviors that they're engaging in that are not really serving them.
Helpful. Yeah.
But they might not have shared that with anybody else.
Yeah.
But they come into your chair and they're willing to divulge things that they've
That's step
never
one.
shared with anyone, right? And then they get to experience this relationship, and it is like love is an action, right? So when you're holding space for someone in a clinical setting, it's like you're actually showing them love. You're listening. You're trying to understand. Like, okay, tell me what was your, like, I want to hear, like, how was love shown to you in childhood?
Tell me this. Let's talk about this for a second. We've talked about love, almost at times synonymous with empathy. How do you define love? What is love?
I think love is a feeling, but it's also an action.
Okay.
It's an action.
What does it feel like?
I think it feels like someone seeing you for who you truly are, with all your flaws, all your insecurities, the experience of feeling loved no matter what. So you being seen, showing up in your most vulnerable space with all your flaws, and being accepted, truly accepted. But then it's like the action of love is when you're truly loving someone, you're providing them with that experience. Like, it's not for you. You're doing it out of the care. It's not tied to a need for reciprocity.
So love is the feeling of, I imagine it'd be comfort and safety in your authentic expression.
Sure. I mean, I think we can identify, and this kind of goes where, like, if you ask men and women how they experience love, I think you might get different answers.
Yeah, one's probably like physical. Men would probably be like physical, and women would probably be like sharing resources.
Or
that's like kind of
safety, like feeling safe.
Yeah.
And that looks like emotional safety, maybe financial security.
Right.
Like it can look a lot of different things. But when I'll ask you, like, how do you experience love? Like, what is love to you?
I've been thinking about that.
Yeah.
I talked about it with Grant in the philosophy show that we did. We've talked about love a couple times, and we tried to define it. And it's a difficult one to define when I want to do it in my head. Because love is a body, it's a language that the body knows, but I don't know that it can be encapsulated with words. If I express that correctly. I
think it's easier just to
responsibility to the other in some way, a responsibility, an allegiance to the other.
Yeah, like a sense of loyalty. And I think an easier question, an easier way to answer that is, what does it feel like to feel loved? What does it feel like when
I
you
ask folks that when we do their life story? I always ask my guests, when did you have a felt sense of love with your primary caregiver, with your mom or your dad?
Yeah.
And I've thought about that in my own life. Like, when did those, because they're almost like, you can almost pinpoint them as events. Oh, I felt deep love and connection at this time or that time.
Right. And when was the absence of love really present for you? Like, when did you really experience love being withheld, or the absence of love in your relationship? Or
because you probably have, that's a good point. And I would imagine there's like baseline behaviors between people that might not feel like a great sense of love, but you've gotten that, what John Gottman called the love bank account has been, there's like plenty in there. So you assume love at all times because you've gotten these experiences of it. So then you endow the neutral times with, I'm still loved through this, and maybe even the negative times. I'm still loved even though there's challenge here. But that like 5 to 1, he said the ratio was 5 to 1. Positive to negative.
Yeah. And one of the things that he says is one of the biggest indicators of relationship failure is turning away from bids for emotional attention.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bids and contempt.
Bids for affection.
Contempt.
Yeah. The 4 horsemen of the apocalypse.
The 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, yeah.
Criticism.
Defensiveness, contempt, stonewalling.
Stonewalling. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I got John Gottman's books here.
I mean, I love his stuff. I pull it in to a lot. It's very interesting, like working with couples, you can see how quickly that shows up. And it's very, it's very eye-opening because, when you're working with couples, you're kind of managing this really strong, energetic experience.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they're trying to say the same thing. They just are not, and they're agreeing, but in their mind, maybe they're fixating on a detail and their partner's not seeing this specific detail the way that, so, and then there might be a lot of criticism, and it's like, whoa, guys, let's just take a break here. Like, I think you're both trying to say the same things. You're just expressing it in different ways.
Man, I just got this overwhelming sense of what it must be like to be a therapist sitting in your chair and 2 intimate human beings walk in the middle of a context that you're oblivious to, and then it unfolds in front of you like I just had this thought of a small town at the bottom of a big hill, and there's like a dam at the top of that hill, and the dam breaking, and all of that water coming down. And you're, as a therapist, this town that's like, oh my goodness, now I need to pick through the pieces of what happened there and what's going on. That seems impossible. How do you do that?
Well, what I'll say is that oftentimes the thing that people think that they're coming into therapy for is not what we end up addressing.
Yeah.
And it might be part of it, but oftentimes we're like, okay, I think sometimes it can be something's hyper specific. Like maybe there's a really big life decision that needs to be made and they're not having an agreement on this.
Jamie,
thing.
I just want you to tell me that she's wrong and I'm right.
And it's interesting because once you start looking at it, you're like, oh, okay, there's so much more here that we need to work with, that we have to like identify and work with. And that can be super challenging. And one thing I think that is very humbling about being a therapist, and I always try to keep this in perspective. And I love Esther Perel's approach. She has a podcast that I listen to.
Okay.
She'll do individual sessions and she'll record it with one session with a couple and they get one shot with her. And the way she's able to kind of manage the energy is just super interesting. But, you know, her approach and the way she's able to be directive in a way that's also compassionate. I really pull a lot from her framework a little bit. Sort of just trying to understand, like, okay, what's really going on here? What need is not being met? That's a great question. It's like, what need do you have in this relationship that is not being met? And that can look so different for each people. Or let's look at your values. Let's look at what is your personal value system? And then what are your values as a couple?
Yeah.
And how are they misaligned?
Yeah, that reminds me that John Gottman, he talked about the 5 factors of trustworthiness, how we identify trustworthiness between two people. And one of them was alignment of values, ethics.
I think it's huge. Yeah, absolutely.
They don't have to be the same. You could both be robbers, but you both have to be robbers. So you have to have compatible values.
Well, I think it's helpful to have compatibility across your value system for sure. And what I will also say is if those values are, maybe you have a difference in terms of like how you approach different values, are you still able to respect an individual even if they have differing values?
That's where that contempt comes up.
Right. So you think about this in terms of like, you know, identifying an individual in relation to their political beliefs. Okay, are you able to hold compassion for them and see them as an individual separate from this specific belief system? But oftentimes, and I think this is a great way to look at this, is that we all tend to kind of think about things. And Jonathan Haidt, he's written a few books, but he has a book out now called The Anxious Generation. But one of his, in The Coddling of the American Mind, he focuses on this idea that we think in cognitive distortions. And so we're oftentimes like personalizing things that might not even belong to us, or we're over-identifying with, you know, specific values, and we're not able to separate and see this person as an individual separate from whatever their belief system is.
That's an inability to find the bridge. To relate.
Yeah. So I think it's interesting to look at it in that way, is how much are we personalizing this experience, or we able to see this person's viewpoint as their view and not tied to who they are so strongly to where we're not able to.
It's making us fragile.
Yeah.
It's making us fragile socially. I want to have conversations with people that are different from me.
Well, I think we have to.
We have to. But if I have a disagreement, or if I have a different political lens or a different political, foundation, then the person's like, oh, canceled.
Well, see, that's the thing.
You're canceled. I'm going to get you off my Facebook thing. We can't even have
a conversation.
Well, then how do we move towards the middle? How do we?
So in clinical practice, we talk about this being like black and white thinking.
Yep.
All or nothing.
Yeah,
thinking.
all or nothing thinking.
And you can see this. This is one of the character we talk about, borderline personality traits. That's one of the hallmarks of borderline personality disorder, is this tendency to have extreme ideation, like really strong feelings for someone, and then going to this other opposite end of that spectrum where we're devaluing someone, or it becomes hypercritical.
Isn't that our political landscape right now?
And I think there's so much
Do we
there.
talk about these things in any other way other than like, if this person wins, it's going to be Armageddon. And if this person doesn't win, if this person wins, we're going to get all the things you want in the world,
So this is the way that I've been able to navigate that, because it's coming up so much and one of the ways that I've been able to sort of navigate this, because I want people to feel like some therapists might have a boundary around discussing that at all. I don't have that boundary, because for me, it's, again, I try to go back to how are we thinking about this if we relate it back to cognitive behavioral therapy, and we're thinking about reframing our thoughts, reframing a distortion where we might be catastrophizing in a specific way out of fear. It's really, I found it to be much easier to navigate when we're like, okay, well, what is causing you to go to this worst case scenario? And so it's sort of like, okay, well, let's step back. And what are some of the daily practices that might have you going down these rabbit holes where it feels like this is so intense? Sometimes you're telling them like, okay, maybe we should just take a step off of social media a little bit. So we're not just inundated with all of this algorithm just continually feeding us.
I think you should just tell everybody that at the onset of therapy, or just have the shirt. Why don't you just take a step back from social media for a sec?
Well, and it's interesting, but where I look at that in terms of like how we're navigating politics through a therapeutic lens, is sort of like, okay, I think people have their own individual value systems.
Yeah, we do.
And we have our individual value systems, and there is a sort of a general understanding that like we're not going to get everything we want with any candidate, right? So there might be things, and I think more people, if they were able to have these nuanced conversations, would realize that, wait, we have way more in common than we thought.
We really
we're not
do.
able to get there. So if we can bridge this connection.
We start with the fringes.
Right.
Why don't we start with the beginning and get a whole, it's like the John Gottman 5 to 1. We need to build that relational bridge with all the things we agree on.
Yes.
Which I imagine is a lot.
Yeah. And so if you can get them to say, okay, so this value is super important, and I can completely understand why that's so important to you, because that is impacting your family in a very significant way, or it's challenging your personal autonomy. So it makes so much sense to me that you're so closely tied that you would want to vote one way, even based on a specific issue, right? And so from this framework of we have these individual values that are really important to us, and there's this other person that also has their own values, and they might look different for each individual. And there's a sense of knowing that like we're not going to get everything we want, but can we the way I say like, I think people tend to vote knowing that they're not going to get everything they want, but they're going to vote in alliance with the values that are most important to them.
Question, bringing it back to narcissism for a sec. Do you think it's possible, given how news is so polarizing and skewed, and it's hard to know what's real, and it's all seen through a frame of someone's kind of end goals. Do you think it's possible to diagnose a candidate as narcissistic through the reports that we hear through the media, or through like observing them speaking? And I'm like kind of dog whistling Trump. Do you think it's possible to look at what the news says about him and what we can see through his speaking engagements? Can you diagnose?
I mean, I think that there's a lot of, if you think about some of the character traits that he exhibits and some of the personality traits that have gotten him to where he is, there's certainly things that he meets. You're
looking at that list. Which one do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that there's a sense of entitlement for sure.
Entitlement because I'm just going to give an example of it. And I'll just say this right now. This isn't really a political show. I would talk to someone who is my best friend turned into being a Trump. He's a Trump supporter, and I love him. I still converse with him, and I would never cancel anybody. I wasn't huge either way, to be honest.
Right.
I didn't think there was a good choice. But so I think an example of that would be presenting himself as a self-made man in a world where his dad started him off with like this $1 million kind of loan. Would that be an example of that?
Oh, okay. So you're saying like sort of, how would you characterize that? What would you say? How would you frame that behavior?
Well, it was the one you just said.
Misrepresenting himself.
Yeah, he's presenting himself as this like self-made man. Like I did it. I pulled my boots up by my bootstraps, and I made it out there. And not acknowledging the tremendous privilege and support that he had through his father and his father's relationships and connections.
Well, I think. Is there that capacity to be self-reflective and really introspective? If you're able to represent yourself in that way and that is not in line with the objective reality, like maybe there was, as you said, like he had support from an early age. Now, that being said, I think people have said that I think I've heard it thrown around in media, and that he's often used as I think he's an interesting person. He has a lot of these characteristics, right? Craving attention, requiring admiration. I mean, you could say
an example of craving attention would be he putting his last name on buildings everywhere.
Maybe.
And being on TV and wanting to be. Trump has been in the media since I was a child.
So long, sure. Yeah. We grew up in that generation.
TV shows, on the side of buildings. Trump has been a brand since I was a kid.
Sure. Yeah.
That'd be an example of that. What's another one?
I mean, I think it's interesting because you see how his behavior when he's talking and when he's speaking, his display of what people might say is like confident or arrogant, so that's,
you got to be confident if you're a president, though.
The thing is like how much of that, but I think he just really, he owns it. He's just kind of like, this is who I am. And there's an aspect of this is who he is. And now, I don't know, there's a lot of different ways. Now, on the other end of that, are there some of the criticisms being some of the exploitative behaviors, or
where he like wouldn't pay the people that worked on his projects?
Perhaps.
Like he just like shh.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's been a lot of criticism in terms of like how he's operated businesses and stuff. Right. Like he's definitely so. But what I think is super interesting too is I always encourage people. I think what I have appreciated is his willingness to go on sort of long form podcasts.
Yeah, he went on Theo Vaughn, he went on Joe Rogan, and they just went.
They just went.
He did the weave, baby.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting when you hear him speak and stuff. It's like there's some aspects where it's like he can be very endearing. He can be super charismatic.
He didn't get where he got by not being endearing and charismatic.
And so I don't know. I mean, I think that people should really take the opportunity to hear people. I don't think our the way that the debate format, for example, is the best display.
Oh, that was ridiculous.
I think we need to be encouraging these long form conversations where you're hearing these. And there's a lot of aspects of his personality that are super compassionate too.
Well, the debate has basically gotten to be, okay, now tell me your talking points. Now tell me your talking points, as opposed to what you're saying. And I agree with a longer format conversation where we see people's character, where we see people's, their value systems play out, as opposed to their like the value systems of the platform that they're running on top of.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that is, he has been able to connect with people throughout a variety of cultures, right? And I think that's so interesting is like you see how he's been able to connect with sort of middle America and the working class, and just his involvement in the UFC and things like that speak to maybe middle America. And, I'm big in the martial arts. So the way that he's been able to kind of captivate certain audiences, I think, is really fascinating. And there's this election cycle has just been really interesting all the way around, because we've seen shifts in terms of, the way people have voted across cultures too. So it's just been a really interesting cycle.
Yeah.
I hate to go to say like, yes, he is this,
Well,
right?
we can't
Because
do
it
that.
kind of, right.
I think the answer to that is you can't do that.
Like you should, and I don't think you should.
No.
Because if you,
We don't know
Again,
Trump
we're-
the man.
right.
We know Trump the character.
I mean, he has a persona, right? But then I think when you start to understand a little bit more about who he is through these long form conversations, and I wonder if people are so put off by him, if they're able to even allow themselves to hear him
Yeah.
talk. And what I would say to everyone is just the ability to, are we going to this place where we're shutting down to where we're not even willing to hear the other side? And I think that's a dangerous place to be, because I think we should be doing that with everyone. We should be inviting that type of conversation, and we should be hearing people out and really understanding who they are as a person. I mean, I listened to Vladimir Putin on, I think it was on Tucker Carlson, or I listened to him.
Yeah, when he went to Russia. Yeah.
Yeah. And also I listened to him, I think I don't know if he's been on Lex Friedman's podcast or what, but he was on a few different podcasts. And it's like, I think it's interesting to understand they're just people.
They're people.
They're people
with values, and they're making decisions.
values.
I think that demonization of these cultures,
Yeah.
that's almost this neo Iron Curtain-y type of thing, this like anti-communist thing, isn't helpful. We should look at people as humans. What happened there? What's going on? What are their motivations? What are their values? You know, I could see him being scared of the NATO getting more powerful and that being a threat to that whole country or whatever. But I don't think we're getting all of that information.
I mean,
and there's a value to listening to them.
I think it's super important. And I try to look and listen to a variety of different perspectives and a lot of different types of podcasts. And I really gravitate towards the individuals who are not afraid to have individuals who might differ from their value system on, or to even just challenge themselves to meet with world leaders that are highly controversial.
Yeah.
You know, and be able to put themselves at physical risk to be able to put these conversations out there. I really value that, because I think that's where you start to understand. And people are neither all bad or all good.
No.
And that's where I think it really, from a psychological perspective, is like, I mean, I wouldn't be able to do the work that I did if I didn't have the capacity to try to really understand, like, who are they at the core?
Yeah.
You know, how did this identity construct itself?
And maybe to believe that they're good, that there's goodness in
We
there.
all have the capacity for good and evil. And if I don't think that and that can be on extreme scales. And I think we have to have that understanding about ourselves as individuals and understand that as well as it relates to other people. That at the end of the day, when we think about, you know, even world leaders who are responsible for horrific things, you know, but like I think this is really interesting. I think a way to maybe identify. It's interesting when you think about the characteristics of world leaders. If you were to put those characteristics out and identify this person, maybe all these different world leaders that we find maybe very controversial, and we were able to obscure their name and then identify them in terms of like, okay, let's break down
behavioral expressions,
these personal expressions of behavior or character attributes as it relates to a specific person. And if we were able to shield that person's name, like how would we, if we were able to say like, okay, here's all these attributes that are related to this specific individual, and we're not going to say what name that's associated.
Well, then we're
with
just voting for attributes.
Then we're just voting for attributes. And are these qualities that maybe some of these leaders possess, maybe they manifest in some of these behaviors that are extreme, right? But if you look at them as the attributes of like, what does it look like from a leadership perspective? Are those some attributes? Are there some attributes of leaders where we can see that like this person is still neither all bad or all good? They still have these leadership qualities. Did it manifest in this horrific way? Maybe. But are we still able to say like their leadership qualities are still there? They were able to for better or worse, they were able to, I think that's what's fascinating about it, is like we're able to gather people and, you know, and that's
get a
dangerous.
backing,
that can be dangerous.
Bring a platform. Yeah, that takes a lot of succeeding, which leads me to kind of a sidestep here. Is capitalism pro-narcissism? I guess I read a study about CEOs or executives at these top businesses and a certain percentage of them being narcissist or having lacking of empathy, and that being almost a requirement to ascend to these higher levels of employment.
That's interesting. That's a really good question. I don't know. I haven't really thought about it, but what I will say, that's a tough question to answer. Is
capitalism is like, if it really nurtures, I'm not a big fan of capitalism. I'll just say.
Well, what I would say is it's like, how closely is that tied to someone's sense of self-preservation?
Is being successful. Well, those that have being successful tied to life and death survival,
right?
They're going to be the ones that strive the hardest to do, you know, whatever is necessary to achieve it, I would imagine.
Right. People
that are namaste are just going to be like, okay, man, that seems like this is your thing. I'm not willing to do that.
I mean, again, I try not to be so black and white in anything.
Right.
I think you should try. Right. I think it's really important to try to be able to say, like, there's some attributes of this that can be really dangerous, and that can, if we go 100% in this direction, it can be destructive.
Yeah.
You know, so are there attributes of, you know, where things go wrong? And you see this like with your understanding of, you know, like communism coming from a lot of these ideas seemingly being like they could be really good in theory, but then they kind of break down.
Execution.
Like, it's on the execution.
I said earlier I don't agree with capitalism, but I really just am disenchanted, or I don't think that our version of capitalism that we're practicing right now is distributing wealth in an effective way.
Okay.
I feel like it's like if we were a bunch of people that needed water to drink in order to live, we've got a handful of folks that are glaciers and a lot of people that are thirsty. And so we have wealth kind of tied up in these huge places that we can't unlock, and a lot of people that are thirsty and need it. And I think if capitalism is a process through which we distribute and share wealth, I don't think it's working for us right now.
I mean, certainly there's a lot of areas that you could see where the disproportionality, right? Yeah. Right? We see that across cultures. And so, but
just look at Bernie Sanders if you want to know more about that. He does a great job
of articulating.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so complicated, right? And then it comes down to like these more nuanced, like systemic issues, and how are we handling things on a systemic level? Like how are we utilizing our tax dollars, and are they being distributed effectively?
We're talking about Doge now.
And the way that we're like, actually is some of these programs, maybe they sound really good in theory, but do they fail on the execution? I think that's something that as I become, you know, I think as you go through, as you emotionally mature, maybe your values over time change, or maybe you go back to like your roots in a sense, and you start to see that maybe some of the ideas and theories that, or ways of solving problems that you thought in theory sounded really great, but then you see how the execution really fails. Yeah. Then it helps you, it makes you kind of go back and say, okay, well, this thing that was presented to me is helping a lot of people, but it seems to be failing on all these different levels. Then I think we have to really question how we're executing certain
Maybe
things.
Go back to the drawing board. Yeah. Anything else we want to say about narcissism as we kind of wrap up this section? What has been unsaid? Yeah. Final thoughts on narcissism.
We went a lot of different ways.
We did.
Went a lot of different
It's
directions.
like, it was ADD-tastic.
Yeah, it definitely was. I mean, I just want to kind of highlight, like, there's a theory, maybe, I think we didn't really talk about. One of the questions that I thought might come up is, are we becoming more narcissistic
As a culture?
I
think that's what I was maybe hinting at with, does capitalism lend itself to, does it positively reinforce narcissism?
I don't know. I was thinking about it more through the lens of social media and technology.
Okay.
That's kind of what I was thinking is, as I was looking at this, it's sort of, there was some, as I was kind of delving into this, it's like you look at narcissism cross-culturally. And one thing that I think you can learn is that the US that we can study or we can look at from the framework of like individualist culture versus collectivism, individualism versus collectivism.
Right.
And how one might be promoting attributes of narcissism, where individualist culture would promote maybe attributes of narcissism, whereas collectivist culture might have some protection against that because it's so based in the need to protect the community and the community being grounded in the sense of like duty to one another. Whereas individualist culture, American culture is very individualistic.
Yeah.
It's like the ability to pursue anything you want and become as wealthy as you like. And then you think about that cross-culturally. But now everybody has social media. Everybody has access to social media, or, throughout the world, we have access globally to social media. So that people have the ability to present themselves in a way that might be self-indulgent. So there could be the argument of like, is social media causing us to be more narcissistic? I don't know.
You think?
I think that, again, I kind of go back to this idea of, is someone being confident in their expression of how they're using it, or is it seeking external validation? Are we using this platform as a way to seek external validation? And when we don't get it, is our sense of self being challenged? So like when we don't get the likes, when we don't get the clicks, or...
I want the likes, Jamie.
I think it's...
I want the clicks.
Of course.
I'm in this space now because I put this out there and there is like...
But let me ask you this. Is there like a dopaminergic response that you get? I think...
Probably.
Natural, right? Like it's nice to feel like that sense of validation, like, oh, I'm doing a good job.
I want to like contribute in a positive way. And there's like a feedback loop of that, of like, when someone says...
It's inherently bad, right?
No, it's not inherently bad.
It's like, how are you using it? Now, if an individual feels like their sense of self-identity crumbles because they're not receiving those things and they're not getting that feedback, then I would say that we have to like revisit that.
Yeah. I kind of want to be 10 steps back from it, kind of like put it in there and then not death scroll, kind of utilize it for my own means, but not get wrapped up in it.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
it's hard. Like I want to see the metrics.
Sure,
I want to see positive metrics.
You want to see it. Yeah. You want to see.
And when I don't, I feel disappointed and like, what am I doing? Is this working?
But again, it's kind of rooted in this value of like giving back and providing value to a community.
Yeah.
Right.
That's true. That's true.
That's like your value is to be able to provide. It's being in service to others.
Yeah, you want to be in service.
Tied to that value. And I see that come through with you as I'm looking at it like, no, but I want to put this out there. I want to challenge myself in a way that helps people understand me in a way, or even be vulnerable to my own experiences, or challenge myself in a way where I have to look at some of the qualities about myself through conversations that like you're putting yourself out and being vulnerable, and it's not easy. And then you're also providing the service of bringing all these scholars and people that are really well versed in their profession, like some incredible scholars and people that have been on your podcast, and that's a value to people. People need information.
I think people need information.
Yeah.
We need more than folks that are able to make the largest M&M ever known to man.
Well, I think
I saw a video of someone who took
did?
like $300 worth of M&Ms and made one big M&M. It had 1 million views. And I was just
a million views. You're like, really?
Damn.
It's always interesting.
That's what's entertaining people.
It's always interesting to me, like what goes viral, and sometimes it's the most.
A big M&M, apparently.
Yeah. I'm like, really?
All right. Speaking of a big M&M, now we'll goof off a little bit before we talk about your life story.
Okay.
We goof off by, those were kind of Phil Phails 5 questions, but we didn't really 5 question it. We kind of just had a meandering discussion. We play improv games.
Oh my goodness.
Have you ever done this?
No.
Are you nervous?
Yes.
What's the worst case scenario?
Oh my goodness.
Nervousness or anxiousness is like a belief that in the future something's going to go bad.
Yeah.
So what's going to go bad?
For the future.
What's going to go bad?
I freeze.
You'll freeze?
I don't come up with the right answer, or I say something impulsively without thinking through my thought.
Hold on. So the first one you freeze.
Freeze.
The second one is
like poverty of thought. Can't think of anything.
Can't think of like totally. And the third one is you say something like that's silly.
Or maybe I'm not able to edit myself. Maybe I say something without thinking it through. Maybe something that I wanted to have a little bit more discretion around.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, those are all valid. I don't think you'll do that. We'll play games that what if we played games that didn't lend themselves to those problems?
Okay.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
That's a good question. Yeah.
This requires trust.
Oh, yeah. Trust. These are improv warm-up games.
Okay.
So a lot of them are just like making silly sounds and moving your body in silly ways.
Oh my gosh. You're really pushing me out of my
comfort zone. Pushing. That's like.
I mean, on camera.
So being silly on camera.
I think it's almost, this is probably more tied to the context and the persona that I'm coming in is like, okay, you're
a professional and now I'm going to get silly.
Like have me get silly and who's going to see this? And
they're going to see you silly. What'll happen then when they see you being silly? They'll be like, she can't be professional. She was silly.
No, I mean, I think it's good for me. I need to be more silly. I tend to lean more into the realm of seriousness.
You need to be serious. You need to be taken seriously in your profession. And I think serious people can be silly.
Yeah, they can. Both and. Right?
And I acknowledge that. I guess
I'm sure I'm getting red.
I'm sitting into that place of, I want to be a professional. I just thought could Noam Chomsky come in here and I talked to him about, wage slavery and all this stuff. And then I'd be like, okay, Noam, now let's play some improv games.
All right. I'm really trusting you here.
Noam Chomsky would be a good person to play these games with. Do you think he would do it?
Yeah, I don't know. Super interesting.
Let's do an easy one, which is it's either called mind meld or convergence. And this is one, it's really easy. Deep breaths. This one isn't even that silly. It's really a practice of you and I trying to come together on a word, converge on a word.
Like synchronicity?
Synchronicity.
Okay, yeah.
It's called mind meld.
Okay.
And so what we'll do is we'll count to 3 together, and then we'll say a word. You'll black out your mind, and then some word will come. And that'll be the first word, the first 2 words that will start this attempt to converge.
Does it have a theme, or it can just be literally the first thing?
It will have a theme. We will co-create a theme through the first 2 words. And then we find the converging word together.
Okay.
It took Jennifer and I 5 or 6 times last time. I did it with one guest on the first word. We said the first word was the same, which I don't know. I think that's telepathy. I think telepathy tapes. I think we telepathied it.
That is crazy.
It was crazy.
Because you didn't even have...
You know how many words there are in the English language?
Yeah, I was going to say, that's wild. And you said the same thing.
The same word. You ready?
Interesting. Okay.
We don't have to do that.
We can,
but we don't have to.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to count to 3. So close your mind, blank out your mind, and then think of a word. Okay. I'm going to give me 1 second. You kind of pull it from the void, this putting your hand in a dark hole and pull out a word. Mine would be, okay, I got one.
Okay.
And then we count to 3 together. 1, And then we do 1, 2, 3, and then the word on
Okay.
4. Okay.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Astronaut. Astronaut. Cohesion. Astronaut cohesion.
Okay.
Okay. Those are the 2 words that influence the next word we say.
Astronaut and cohesion.
Astronaut and cohesion.
Okay.
Okay.
This is tough.
Is it?
I don't know. It's tough for me.
What's
I'm
the
like,
unifying? How would we unify
How would we
astronaut and cohesion? I've got something. Astronaut and cohesion.
Okay.
You got
I
something?
think so.
1, 2, 3. Inner space. Inner space and gravity.
That. Yeah.
I brought the movie
Yeah.
Inner Space and you brought Gravity. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Gravity and inner space. Gravity and inner space. Gravity and inner space. Where's the...
Oh, okay. I've got it.
You've got it. See, you can't got it. So now I'm just going to try to, instead of thinking of my own word, I'm going to try to telepathy your word.
Okay.
Gravity and inner space. Think your word.
I don't know if this makes sense at all, but this is what came to me. I'm going to go with it.
I've got one. It came to me a couple times. I don't know if it'll work, but let's just go with it.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Apple.
Void.
Apple and void. Okay. Apple and void.
Okay.
I think I've got something.
You've got something.
Yeah, I've got something.
Okay.
Apple and void.
I feel like this is where your tech mind might come into play.
I don't know. I don't know. We're gonna converge.
Apple and void.
Void and apple. Void and apple.
And you've got something already.
I've got something.
Okay.
1. You do the 1, 2, 3 this time.
1, 2, 3.
Black
core.
hole.
I said core. I feel like we're getting closer.
Black hole and core.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I feel like we're
black
getting
hole
closer.
and core. I think we
Yeah.
are too.
Yeah.
Black hole and core. I think I've got one. Black hole and core.
Black hole and core.
I'm sending it to you.
You've already got it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Man, I feel like we're so close. Like,
Try
this
not
should
to
be
think
easy.
too much.
Yeah, this is what I do. This is now like my nervous system.
Stop thinking at all. Like black out your mind and
Okay.
become receptive to
Hole. Wait, what's the
intuition.
other word? Black
Core.
hole and core.
Core and black hole. Core and black hole. It's okay.
Core, black hole. See, this is how, do you see? I'm overthinking
You're
now.
doing great. What would be the core of a black hole?
I don't know.
Me neither.
Okay, I got it.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3. Star.
Emptiness.
Star and emptiness. Star and emptiness. Star and emptiness. I like emptiness. That's pretty good. Star.
Star and emptiness.
Now I'm going into like,
I was gonna say, are we getting something? Are we going in a different direction here?
I was, at least what was starting to
Star.
come to my mind was
Star and emptiness. Hmm.
Well, because an empty star is a black hole,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
right? It like
Yeah.
collapses in on itself.
Man.
Man. Okay, let's just do it. Let's stop thinking. Let's stop thinking by going faster.
Okay.
You don't have to come up with one. We'll do no more of that.
Okay.
Let's just count and come up with it. So 1, 2, 3. David Bowie. David Bowie and fire. David Bowie and fire. Okay.
We both went in complete different directions.
Yeah, we did. We did. That's good. That's good. It's good. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Firehouse. You didn't get one. David Bowie and fire. New one. New choice. David Bowie and fire. 1, 2, 3. Man.
Rock and roll.
Man, rock and roll.
Oh, okay. We can do this.
Man and rock and roll?
Yeah.
Rock and roll man. Who's the rock and roll man?
Ready?
1,
2, 3.
Rolling Stone.
Okay, that was a good one.
Rock star and Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. The Beatles. Mick Jagger and the Beatles. Okay. Mick Jagger and the Beatles. Man, the Stones and the Beatles, they didn't. You either liked one or the other.
I know. I like both.
I mean, I like both.
I like both now, but then maybe.
But back then, it was like you were a Beatles dude or you were like a Stones dude. That's what my dad said. Okay. Mick Jagger and the Beatles. Okay. Like 1, 2, 3. Paul McCartney.
I was literally going to say that, and it just like
you were going to say Paul McCartney?
Yes.
We'll count it. We got a mind melt. We got a mind. This is a silly dance and song you sing. Mind melt.
You see how
you were really going to say it?
No, I was. That was like, but this is how like freeze, and then I can't form the words.
You freeze and you can't form the words.
Yeah.
But it was there.
It was there. It was on my
system.
tongue. Yeah, I think so.
Honor system.
Like it was like in my head, and I thought about saying it, and then when I went to say it, I was kind of watching you, and I was like, okay, that's close enough.
Yeah.
That was there.
Yeah. The whole idea of this is it's like an exercise of relating. We're trying to pull our cultures together into some unifying culture.
That's super cool. That's such a fun exercise.
Yeah, let's try it again.
Okay.
Ready? We'll start from nothing.
Okay.
So 1, 2, 3. Ham sandwich. What'd you say?
Parrot.
Ham sandwich parrot. Okay. Ham sandwich parrot. I've got it.
How?
Ham sandwich parrot.
Ham sandwich parrot. Okay.
Ham sandwich parrot.
Ham sandwich parrot.
You got it? Do you want a hint?
Yes.
Polly.
Oh my goodness.
1, 2, 3.
Polly
Cracker. Here was my thinking. We kind of got it. Here's my thinking. A ham sandwich. What would be food for a parrot?
So I was thinking the phrase, like, what's a cracker?
I just broke it down to like, okay, what is a sandwich? Sandwich is food. Here's a cracker.
Yes.
I mean, here's a bird.
Okay, I
a
see.
parrot. So now we have a parrot. What is food for a parrot?
Yeah.
Cracker.
No, when you said Polly, I was like, okay, wants a cracker.
Polly wants a cracker.
Does the phrase count?
I mean,
Or
sure.
I was just supposed to say the word, like cracker.
I mean, there's no
Phrase was there.
There's nobody judging us.
So funny.
Except for
This
those
is
people out there.
interesting.
Okay, let's try it again from the beginning. Now you're kind of getting the swing of it.
Yeah, I can see how you're bridging connections to try to create some sense of cohesion.
And what I need to do is figure out how you're doing it. And we figure out how we're both doing it. And then we'll unify.
Yeah.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Light
Curtain.
bulb. Light bulb and curtain. Light bulb and curtain. Oh, okay. 1, 2, 3. Sun.
Illuminate.
Sun and illuminate. Sun and illuminate.
Okay, I've got one.
You do? 1, 2, 3. Shade.
Glow.
Shade and glow. We're kind of okay. Shade and glow. Oh my goodness, that's not going to be it. Brain. My brain was like lava lamp, and I'm like, what even?
Shade.
Where would that even happen? Shade and glow. Shade.
Okay.
Okay. I've got one. Well, hold on. Let me think of the word.
I feel like
how
we're
I'm gonna say
here.
it.
We should be able to get this. Shade and glow. Seems like an obvious thing. Maybe to me. At least.
No, it's obvious to you.
Okay.
No
It's obvious.
pressure on this guy. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Lampshade.
Okay. We got
Lampshade.
it.
Yeah, we got it. Let's call that.
it.
Let's call that.
Lamp.
Okay. That is mind meld.
Yes. Okay.
You only
got it. The
partial
shade.
freeze. Yeah.
And the glow.
Lampshade.
Lamp.
Or lamp.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Close
like
enough.
lamp.
Okay.
No, that movie.
Next one is, let's see, which one's least silly? Soundball or mirror cat?
Mirror cat.
Mirror cat. Okay, I'm a cat and you're the mirror.
Oh my goodness. What does that mean?
What does that mean? What would you do if you were a mirror?
What I do? I'll go like this.
I'd be the mirror.
Yeah.
But you're the
So
mirror.
I'm the mirror.
Yeah.
Okay. So what am I doing here? Okay. Okay. I see what we're doing.
And then at a certain point, in this mirror, I could be a cat.
Okay. Other hand. So silly.
Yeah, it's silly. You got this. At a certain point in this like mirror cat, you take the reins of the game, right?
Okay.
And I'll follow you.
Okay.
But we're not going to tell anybody when that happens. And sometimes I'll take it and oh God. And we won't tell, and we will only know.
Okay. Oh my gosh. I can't believe
It's too fast. It's too fast. Goodness. Death by silliness.
Did you do this?
I
with your
would.
kids?
Yeah, I would. Heck yeah, I would.
good.
They're too cool for it now.
Yeah. Did you used to do these types of games with them when they were little?
They've come with me to improv.
I love
to
that.
improv community. I took my younger kiddo through improv facilitator training workshop we did. She was participating like
awesome.
the whole weekend.
I love that.
She's awesome.
That's so cool.
She'd get up on stage.
I mean, I think here's the thing is I think these types of things, while they push me out of my comfort zone, it's so necessary for me to do that kind of stuff. Because there's this feeling of, what I would say is one of the attributes in people that I love the most is humor.
Yeah.
But I think it's just because I'm so serious. So I admire that quality. Like witty, quick humor is such a gift.
Yeah.
And so to be able to like think on your feet and to say the right thing and have really good comedic timing, I think is amazing.
I do too.
And I think I admire that quality in people so much because
You
don't
want
see
that quality.
I want that. Yeah. And
You want to see that in yourself.
yeah, I want to see that.
You could do it.
Yeah. Do you think humor is something that you can develop?
Absolutely.
Yeah, like it's a creative process.
Absolutely. Yeah. Have you watched any of the podcasts where comedians talk about the process of comedy?
Oh, yeah.
Where they talk about how, it's not,
I love
they're writing all the time. They're developing stuff on the stage. They're like, what gets a response from the audience? And then they're like, okay, that one does. I'm going to put that one. It is a process. It's a creative process. And you can definitely nurture and strengthen that, I think.
Yeah, I just love comedy so much, and I really love to see people come out with material that they're just kind of, starting to develop, and then you'll see it again. Like I'll go back and like frequent people and kind of, see the material develop over time.
Who do you like?
There's so many. We have some great local comedians.
Well, we do now because everybody followed Joe Rogan. Yeah,
pretty much stole the LA comedy scene.
Yeah,
so we have a lot. Man.
You've been to the Mothership?
Mm-hmm.
I have too.
Yeah,
I saw one of Joe's thing. Well, it was Joe's kind of him and his friends or whatever, where he kind of did the headliner. It was goodness, now I'm blanking. Brian Simpson. It was what's his name? The old dude with white hair. talks about golfing and poops. I'm blanking on them, but the guy who does Kill Tony Hinchcliffe.
Yeah.
Saw him. It was a good night.
Yeah.
I like a lot of different comedians. I was raised on.
Oh, you saw Ron White.
Yeah, Ron White.
Yeah, he's a legend.
He's a legend.
He's amazing.
And he was hilarious. Yeah. He just held court. The way he does it.
He's been in the game for so long. He's such a professional.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen him several times now, and he's just amazing.
Well, he's Austin. He's local now.
Yeah. He's a local. There's a new guy. Well, he's not so new. He's been here for a while now, but Ari Matti.
Okay.
He's from Estonia. So kind of the joke is they're like trying to get him citizenship. You know, they're trying to get, but he's kind of up and coming, but he's really blown up since Kill Tony. He's been kind of a regular on Kill Tony.
Really?
So Kill Tony like really launches comedians into the spotlight and stuff. So
have you watched Mo Amir? He's got that show called Mo.
I haven't seen it.
But there's a couple specials that he has. Mo is a great show.
Yeah.
He is funny. He was on The Daily Show recently.
I haven't seen him. I'm not that familiar with him. I don't think I've...
Palestinian dude. What about Ralph Barbosa, that guy?
I know who he is. I don't think I've seen him.
Like San Antonio, but he's blowing up.
Yeah, there's so many comedians. I mean, I love, again, it's like one of my favorite pastimes. I love going to see comedy shows.
Yeah.
So
I would like to try stand-up at some point.
You should.
I think it'd be fun.
Well, I feel like it's not too far off of improv.
Yeah.
So
we're just finding the funny and stuff.
One time when I was in LA, like visiting friends in LA, this was several years ago now, but we went to the Comedy Store.
Oh, you did?
Mm-hmm. And Flo from Progressive.
Uh-huh.
I don't know her name. I just know her from Flo from Progressive.
Okay.
Do you know who I'm talking about? So
is that a car commercial? Insurance commercial?
She's like the Progressive
commercial for insurance. Okay.
Yes, she's like the Progressive. She's her name. She addresses herself as Flo. I'm not sure what her real name is.
Okay.
But she was at the Comedy Store doing improv when I was there. She was like one of the comedians on stage. So, you know, you see how a lot of these comedians have, you know, these personalities in TV and television and stuff too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went to see comedy in New York when I was there is it the Comedy Store? The Cellar.
Comedy Cellar.
Yeah. And it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. Okay. Last game. We'll do soundball. I'm trying to think if there's a comedy type of game. I can't think of one. Let's do soundball. I'll pass you. The improv is about yes and.
Okay.
Life is about yes and.
Sure.
This community that I was a part of is called Best Friends and Belly Laughs. And one of our foundational beliefs or values was improv is a tool for self-help and self-improvement.
Yeah.
We would see people come in. I'm one of them that would come in nervous to contribute and quiet and kind of back.
Yeah.
And through repetition and practice and putting ourselves out there, you'd start to become more confident and more fun and more participatory and more alive.
Yeah.
People of all types would come in and almost learn public speaking and coming out of their shell.
I mean, I think it could be so helpful, right? It's like I've realized, I think something that I've noticed that's showed up for me a lot when I train, like even with jujitsu, with competitions, I would just freeze. So to be able to get on stage, which is so interesting because I did theater as a kid.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. I was like, as a kid, I loved it. But there was some point when I hit, you know, my teenage years where it was, I don't know what happened. It was like I just like went into freeze.
Yeah.
So
we never do it on the theater, but I'd like to try it on a stage.
Yeah. So like I did plays and stuff when I was a kid at the local theater and I loved it. And I had the lead one time and it was a big deal. And I remember I was probably 10, but it was like, what happened? How can I get that back?
You can get it back. It's there. So. It's that childlike fun and play when you.
That's the thing.
Shit's
right?
gotten too serious.
Too serious. Yeah.
Yeah. Adulting is serious.
It is serious in some ways. Too serious.
It's really serious.
But that's the thing. If we think about attunement, if we can just get on that level with our kids and be silly and playing,
and with other adults, it doesn't have to be.
That's true.
Drugs and alcohol. It can be some let's just goof around and find that attunement of silly and laughter and play to renew or reinvigorate that childlike passion and love and exploration and creativity, whatever it is.
I think we can develop, there's probably neuroplasticity through in that process.
We could get new neural pathways.
Yeah.
But improv is about yes and. Okay. Everybody says yes and.
Okay.
And it's good in life too. You accept the present moment. You take it in. Okay. You have to be, you almost tear down the world. The world doesn't exist. It only exists through what the two people there or however many people there that are doing it share. They create a world together.
Yeah.
And you say yes to the world that you create by what they say. It's almost like with every word, they're building it. Some ways to start improv is by doing scene work where you'd say I'm letting you know the landscape of where we are, whether I'm pretending to bowl or I'm pretending I'm in a coffee shop. You say yes and to that by saying, I'm in a coffee shop. What would I do? What would be the opposite of what someone would do in a coffee shop? But I'm going to be in that space with you.
Okay.
I'm going to say yes to it.
Okay. All right.
And the way we did that with Convergent was you said I'm hearing the word you're saying. I'm going to say yes to that word. And I'm going to do the and part is I'm going to add to it.
Right.
I'm going to either explore it with you by adding more detail or I'm going to heighten it by creating silliness within it.
Okay.
So heightening or exploring are the two kind of things you can do. I'm sure there's a bunch of other things. But this one is a warm-up game, so it's got to focus. I send it to you. I send it by making a sound and a gesture. So I would be like,
okay.
And you would say yes to that by repeating that sound and that gesture. You would go,
okay. Okay. The same one?
Yep.
Or
exact same one.
Okay. Okay. All right. Let's go.
And now you'll send one back to me.
Okay.
Your own one.
Okay. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Bum, 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 bum.
Bum, 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 bum. Look, your neck goes back, and you're bracing for some.
I know. It's very intense.
Okay.
I didn't quite do that right. I just wanted to react to you.
You're fine. You did it perfectly. Your turn. Well, you don't do it at the same time. You could do it at the same time. I guess there's no wrong answer.
I think I just reacted to.
Oh, you did?
Expression.
Yeah, that was your reaction to my thing. You're like, oh my God. Okay, well now mirror it.
Okay.
Now you do it.
Well,
what I
I
did.
don't remember what you did.
You don't remember?
I don't know if I could remember it well enough to replicate it. Can you do it again?
Yeah. Where's the passion? Where's the passion in that? You gotta really lean into that. I want you to let all.
Oh my goodness.
Just. Yeah, you tapped into it. Your fingers were shaking a little bit. Okay, your turn.
This is so silly.
Oh man, this is definitely
Okay.
silly.
What am I gonna do? That's pretty good. That was better than mine.
Couldn't be.
It could, yeah.
Couldn't be.
It was.
Okay.
Because then my tongue got tied.
Do.
I don't think I got the tune right.
You did great. Let's not worry about right or wrong anymore.
Okay.
Let's just have fun passing it back and forth. Right. But you can think about right or wrong. There's no wrong. I think there's just
this is really challenging, some perfectionist tendencies.
Yeah.
This is not right.
Yeah, you're this is not. You evaluate each one at the end of it, and it's we could do that. Let's do that. Let's evaluate them. Let's lean into it.
Okay.
And evaluate each one. Okay, you send one to me.
Okay.
Okay.
Ooh. Okay, that was pretty good.
How did you feel about that?
I feel like yours was more expressive than mine.
Where in this arm thing, or the way I was doing
facial?
Because I was doing my neck a little bit, maybe. Well, try the way I did it then. Let's see.
Ooh,
I like it.
Your neck was like going in opposite directions.
I like what you did.
Very coordinated.
Yeah, I like. Like I was coordinating my arm and my neck. Let me see. Oh, darn it! I don't know that I could do it now.
No.
Woo.
Yeah, it's like
I lost it. My woo wasn't. I wasn't in the woo. Let me just hold on. Ooh.
That was intense.
That was good.
Okay. Ooh. Is that better?
That was good.
Okay.
You lost yourself in that.
I mean, that was fun.
Where were you?
Fun. I don't know.
That was
fun.
Big fun.
Okay. Yeah.
Big fun. Okay, I'll come up with one. Boing, 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 boing. This one,
Okay.
You like balls bouncing, huh? You're like, that got you.
I think so. Okay. Boing, 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 boing. See, your vocal expression is way better.
Is it oing, 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 oing? Is that where it got you? It was the oing, oing, oing?
Yeah. This is like where I can't mimic people. You know, people who do impersonation.
Don't worry about mimicking me. Just throw yourself into the oing, oing, oing. You just be the ball, you know?
Okay.
No, 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 no.
No, 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 no.
No, 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 no. Oh, you were passing that to me, or you were mirroring it? No, 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 no. You know, this is a Caddyshack reference. I don't know that he did that. Okay. Deep breath. You did so good. Oh my God. I think we need to be more silly.
We do.
More often.
I had last one.
Okay.
I think I'm just doing this for myself because I just need it right now.
Oh.
I think that was supposed to be an but it didn't come out right.
Can I tell you something about ums? Yeah. I learned this thing about
Like as in when you're feeling
an
space.
Yeah. I learned it in some documentary about some Buddhists or some meditation folks. And has 4 parts to it.
Okay.
Did you know that?
Yeah.
What are the 4 parts?
I have no idea.
Okay, I'll tell you. I'm glad you didn't know because I wanted to say them.
I think I might have missed that in my yoga teacher training.
They didn't teach you about ohms?
No, I'm sure they did, but it was so many years ago. I don't remember.
It starts with an ah.
Ah. Okay.
And then it goes into a o.
Yes.
And then it goes into a
Makes sense.
Well, not like that, but
Yeah.
And then you know what the 4th one is? Silence.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So
you want to do it
together?
Yeah, let's do it together. First, we're going to breathe in to chant. Well, let's just breathe in and breathe out. Not to chant, but just to tap into breath. Okay, now we'll breathe into chant. Are you ready?
Ready?
We're like zenned out now.
You're right. I love that. I love the way
zen.
it feels in your vocal cords.
I like, where it matches. Like sometimes it like resonates and it's like, oh, that's our ums are together.
Good,
Our O's are together. Sometimes I don't think when I go to yoga classes and they do that, they don't lean into the ah part.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And I'm like, why are y'all only doing the O part?
It's true.
I feel like I'm doing it right.
Doing it right.
And y'all aren't following. And that's an invitation for me to accept. I just need to accept
it, let
the
go
present
of
moment. Yeah. These folks.
need to control the ah.
Yeah, I want the ah. Like a part of me wants to be like, no, guys, let's
correct this.
Let's correct this. Okay. Back there, did I hear? Let me hear your ah. Can I get a little you know? But I just have to live with everybody doing ohms differently.
Feels good. It feels nice to get that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it helped me get rid of my like nervous energy.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Where were you born?
Where was I born?
Speaking of nervous energy. Yeah. Where were you born?
I was born in Michigan,
Ooh.
specifically Saginaw General Hospital.
That's like the hand.
Yeah, that's a hand.
People are like, I'm from Michigan.
Yep.
And then they say, where?
here.
You're right here.
Right here. See that? Right here.
That's where she's
Right
from.
on the border of Indiana
Okay.
and Michigan. Little tiny town. If you were to drive all the way from Detroit and Chicago, it's like pretty much dead center on the way.
Between Detroit and Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
So those were your big cities that were closest?
So I grew up in a town of 2,000 people. So
Small town.
yeah, super small. And so the nearest town next door is, I don't even know what that was. We were in between two slightly bigger towns, but not much. But the largest town was probably a couple 100,000 people. It's Kalamazoo.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've heard of that.
Yeah. I think that's where Derek Jeter was from, I think.
Okay.
So
shout out Derek Jeter.
Yeah. But then, I would say the next big city beyond that would be Grand Rapids if you're on the west side,
Okay.
or Detroit on the east side.
What kind of family did you get born into? Were there other siblings already there?
It was a very blended family.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So
What number were you?
I was second to last. So there's 5 of us.
Oh,
Five
five.
of us total. Mm-hmm.
And you weren't the baby,
I wasn't the baby.
but
Yeah.
your parents were probably done being parents by then, huh? I mean,
So my family is kind of complicated.
Okay.
So, I can give you how it breaks down. It's
Yeah.
a little bit complicated. So my mom had my brother, my second oldest brother, when she was 18.
Mm-hmm.
And his father wasn't in the picture. My mom then had her first husband.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, he had a wife previously. And so they were married and they had a child together. And my mom married her first husband. She adopted my oldest brother.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were divorced. When she was married to her first husband, they had my sister.
Okay. So now it's 3 kids.
There's 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when she divorced her first husband, she had 3 kids at this point.
Uh-huh.
My 2 older brothers and then my sister.
Mm-hmm.
And then she married my dad and they had my brother and I.
Yeah.
My younger brother. So
Interesting.
yeah, so it was a blended family.
Yeah, it is a blended
Yeah.
family. Was everybody at the house a bunch, or were people going to different parents in different places, different households?
So what I would say is, there was about 4 to 5 years between each of us siblings.
Okay.
So when my oldest brother was in the house, he was much older. So my early memories were him almost going off to college, so I remember that. And then my second oldest brother, shortly after, I definitely remember going to his high school. He was in a bunch of sports. I remember to go in all of his high school activities and stuff as a kid. And then my sister, she was my big sister. We did a lot of stuff together.
Mm-hmm.
My brother and I, so we were all around. I remember, I think the biggest memories that I have were always our family Christmas was huge. We had a lot of togetherness in that space of, but certainly my other siblings had, they had their dad and stepdad that they would visit. So people were kind of going off into different homes and stuff. But
what was it like
Yeah.
being in a house like that as a kiddo?
I remember it was fun. It was never you were never really alone. There was always people around. It was a very busy household. My dad, so I grew up having in the summers just living in a bathing suit. We had a pool, playing with my siblings, going to a lot of sporting events, doing a lot of sports as a kid. It was nice,
Mm-hmm. Small town.
Yeah, it was a very small town.
Everybody knew everybody?
Definitely that type of situation. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. And if y'all rolling 5 deep with kids, you're probably you're like a crew.
Yeah, no, we definitely you're a family of 7. So
everybody knew,
Yeah.
oh, you were so-and-so's
we had a
sister.
van.
You were
We definitely had we had a van.
You had a van?
Yeah, we had a van. And I remember loving that van because it was just fun. You could pull out the seat. We could all hang out in the back. And I think we had a TV, which was a big deal. So we'd go on road trips and stuff and travel. Yeah.
I imagine that would feel really safe. Having your own kind of family gang.
Yeah, I think it did. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think the other thing that I'll say is that, my 2 older brothers, I wasn't able to I don't think I really formed as close of relationships with them until I was older,
Yeah.
So.
Well, because y'all were so different in age.
Yeah, there was such an age gap, So
yeah. It's how do you relate as a 18-year-old to a 5-year-old?
Yeah. So, I definitely remember, I have memories of it, but not as many memories. I definitely remember being young when my oldest brother went off to college and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So those early memories. And then having much more established memories of with my sister and my younger brother, because we were much closer in age at that point. My 2 older brothers were going off to college and stuff as I grew up.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
How did your folks navigate the complexities of a blended family?
What I'll say is it was we didn't really distinguish. I never felt, and I would say that this is where my personal experience of growing up like that was they were just my siblings. I didn't think of them in any other way. I knew that my sister had a biological dad, and I knew that they had biological parents that I didn't know. What I would say too is that because it was such a small town, our families knew each other. The families all.
Oh, so their dads lived in that town.
Yeah, well, the neighboring town. So everyone kind of knew each other, and so there was that sense of I don't know. I don't remember there being friction or anything. It was just they would go and they would have their weekends, and it was certainly my experience with it was. It was supportive. It was supportive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Certainly it had its challenges and stuff.
Yeah. Sometimes I think of therapists or people that go into a healing practice as someone that starts with a desire to heal themselves. Mm. Is that true for you?
Yeah, I would say. Yeah, for sure. Definitely. And I think a lot of that came up when I became a parent myself. Mm-hmm. And we did, I think you go through that process where you start to maybe re-experience things from your childhood, or start to maybe identify certain behaviors that oh, okay, this is my mom, or I'm showing you I remember this, and that. I don't know if there were certain things that I was that was how I grew up, but I would like it to look different with my kids.
Is there a wound from those attachments that you feel comfortable talking about that led to some of that stuff?
So,
maybe not a wound, but a dynamic that.
Yeah. What I'd say is I was really close with my dad. Mm-hmm. I still am. My dad is still alive. My mom passed away when I was 30. I was 35 when she passed away. Mm-hmm. So, colon cancer. And my relationship with my mom growing up was really challenging. We always had this dynamic where we would kind of be battling each other. And I remember very specifically, she'd always be you always have to have the last word. I always had to push back.
You did.
So yeah, I definitely pushed back. I was definitely the more emotional child. I think anybody in my family would say I was really sensitive, and probably maybe, I don't know, I wasn't the middle child, but I was maybe closer to that middle child where I probably absorbed a lot. Mm-hmm. But I was more emotional in maybe a family dynamic where emotion wasn't really expressed.
They didn't express emotion.
It wasn't as encouraged. Your expression of emotion was. We didn't talk a lot about emotions.
You didn't.
Yeah.
Well, that was just the time. I don't think people talked about emotions back then.
I talk about it in that way of I don't think about it. I think about the generation in which my parents grew up. And I relate a lot in my clinical practice to like Midwestern culture is very much like that. It's kind of like pull yourself up by the bootstraps.
Stoic,
and it's
maybe.
very kind of stoic. Yeah. So, I mean, I think, I was more emotional. And so I had a dynamic with my mom where I would kind of push boundaries and I would act out a little bit, especially as I got older. When my parents got divorced and I think I was like 14.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how did your mom handle that boundary pushing?
I mean,
would she de-escalate or escalate?
I mean, that's a good question. Could
you co-regulate with her when you were feeling intense emotions?
Definitely. And I would say that that's probably like where most of and I think I did have that ability with my dad. Like we spent a lot of time together. We did a lot of things and we genuinely we just had a lot in common. I mean, I think he kind of treated me like a firstborn son maybe in a lot of ways. Like I grew up just kind of doing all the things. It wasn't gender specific, right? I would just do all the things that he was interested in. And
what would you do? Oh yeah, you were saying the photography and all the different things.
Yeah, just all these things and I just kind of go along for the ride. But I spent a lot of time with my dad. I think we've always kind of had the ability to just sort of like get each other. We just enjoyed being around each other and had a lot in common. I was always like adventurous with him. But my relationship with my mom, she worked hard. She had a really difficult childhood growing up. And so there was a lot of maybe stress and anxiety that I think she carried with her throughout her life. And I think when I think about how like your nervous system is regulated in childhood, I grew up in a house where there probably was a lot of, there's just a lot going on. There's a lot happening and we all had our individual experiences. But definitely I kind of experienced my mom's maybe more anxious energy.
I was thinking of a car that kind of idles high.
She definitely ran. Idle. And anybody that knew my mom kind of identified her in that way as she just like burned it at both ends of the night. So she, and that for her looked like working. She kind of
What kind of job she do?
So my dad owned a business. My grandfather had a manufacturing business.
Manufacturing?
And he manufactured trailer hitches.
Okay.
And so I have just very early memories of my grandpa. He died when I was 5, but when he passed away, my dad and my uncle inherited the family business. And
trailer hitch business?
Yeah. So, I lost my train of thought.
Did your mom work at the business too?
So at some point, where I was going with that. So at some point, when my mom and dad were married, my dad and my mom were like, she was vice president, my dad was president. So there was a lot of memories too of like going to, we called it the shop, and we would just play office. My mom would be working, my sister and I'd be playing secretary on the phone. We had so much fun, Like I definitely have memories of doing that, spending a lot of time like with my parents while they were working. And that was fun for me. And then as I got older, that was my first job, or I'd like help out with whatever administrative stuff. And I think it's like all of us worked at some point with my dad's family business. And so my mom was very invested at one point, and she had a pretty pivotal role. I think she was, but then, when my father and her divorced, it looked different. I'm trying to think. She did a bunch of different stuff, but she went on and worked for the local paper.
She couldn't work there anymore when they got divorced, huh? That'd be difficult.
I mean, it would be difficult. But I never, like, my experience with my parents' divorce was, I'm sure, for a while. Like, I definitely remember it being contentious for a few years and them having stress and maybe not getting along. My dad, I remember him picking me up at the curb when it was tight. There was a few years where it was like a little bit rough, but they always parented together in terms of like, they respected each other's parenting styles. Yeah. And they always kind of worked together, even in their own difficulty.
Yeah.
or maybe their own feelings towards one another. I never remember them really misaligning in that way.
Yeah.
So that was helpful. And they also lived really close together. And there was my dad at one point when my parents got divorced, my father at some point became, we started to become more successful. The business began to grow and he became more successful. And
Trailer hitches were a hit.
Yeah. So the business grew. And at one point we had a lake house, which was very close to the house I grew up in.
Mm-hmm.
And so when my parents got divorced, and these were only like 5 miles apart, my parents got divorced, my dad just took the lake house and my mom stayed at the house in town. And this is only 5 miles apart.
Right.
So I just bounced back and forth pretty equally between the two of them. They had 50-50. I would stay, like, I guess technically it was like week on, week off. But I could just kind of, as I got older, just kind of bounce back and forth from one house to the other.
Did you tend to stay more with your dad because you had a better connection with him?
I don't know if it was that or if it was because I could
He let you get away with more stuff?
I wouldn't say you would let me, but I probably did.
You just did.
Because my mom was on to everything. And that was probably why I ballowed, because in a small town, like, she was friends with the other moms and they would all talk. So, I mean,
she was getting in trouble in that small town?
I mean, I definitely, when my parents got divorced, and I'll tell, I say this to my kids, is there was a point where, like, I started to hang out with the
wrong crowd
that were making
bad choices.
Yeah, bad choices. And I definitely fell into that as a kid.
I did too.
Yeah. So there was
ADHD. ADHD, I think that impulsivity.
Yeah.
That, like, probably longing to belong.
Oh, yeah.
Wanting to belong, wanting to.
And I don't know. It was like in my mind at the time, I didn't think I was doing anything that anybody else wasn't doing.
Right.
But I would get caught.
I got caught too.
I would get caught.
I'd get caught
and it
too.
was like,
because I was so loud, I guess. Or just I wasn't good at being sneaky.
Well, I would say too that my mom, she knew what was up, and I wasn't a kid that tended to lie. Like, it was hard. I wasn't a good liar.
So when you'd lie, it'd be very obvious.
Yeah. Or like, it just, for whatever reason, the plan would fall through. So there was a couple experiences, where I got in trouble. Mm-hmm. I'm not afraid to talk about that either. It's kind of, for me, it
legal
was like,
trouble, or?
Oh, yeah. Like, I got busted for drinking at a young age.
I got busted
I was
for
like
drinking
15.
too. Yeah.
I got an MIP, minor in possession.
We'd pull Hey Misters. Did you do Hey Misters up there?
I don't know what that is.
Hey Mister, will you buy me a 6-pack of beer?
Oh.
Here's $20. You can keep the extra.
I mean, I think for us, it was just, it was a combination of things. Sometimes there were parents that would allow it.
Oh, your parents would buy the beer.
Not mine.
Yeah.
Definitely
Some parents.
not mine. But I was hanging out with kids whose parents were maybe more open to that. They were more so they were more open to that. And then, and I had definitely it wasn't really like my older siblings or anything, but
definitely not them.
My friends' siblings,
Yeah.
So
when my brother turned 21, I turned 21, right? Because I got his extra driver's license.
Yeah. So
yeah.
So what I would say is, you
got in some trouble. You had fun.
But it was one of those experiences too, where it was, I got busted a second time. I was 17.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was 17. It was my senior year of high school. And my dad told me very specifically, you get in trouble again, I'm not paying for college.
Whoa.
And that was like,
with another, it was an MIP, another minor in possession?
It was at that point, like, I had gone through, like, getting my license taken away.
Oh, wow.
And having my license suspended.
Yeah.
So it was like a big deal.
It's like, we're not putting up with this anymore.
My parents were, one of the best things that I would say that they did for me is they did not bail me out. They were not going to help me out.
They didn't?
Like, no. There was no, it was like, you're going to do the community service. You're going to go to the AA classes. I remember being like 15, going to AA for the first time with, being with a lot of adults, and it's scaring the hell out of me.
You went to AA at 15?
It was required. I want to say it was, when you get in trouble at that age, it was part of the process. And they made me do it, and it was a good thing, because
it was good for you.
Yeah, I think it was good for me because it held me accountable. I mean, I had to grow up fast, but I was accountable to my
you're
experience.
in the room with a bunch of cigarette smoking, like, real adult addicts.
It was people that had destroyed their lives. So it was definitely like eye-opening.
So that would be sobering for you.
Yeah. But did it keep me from not making the same mistake again?
No, it didn't. No.
And then go off to college, and I was still pushing boundaries and stuff. So,
Did you identify as a good kid or a bad kid?
That's such a good question. If you
Did
were
you
to
make
ask
good
me-
grades? Were you in like cheerleader?
So what I'll say is when I got in trouble for my first MIP, my first minor in possession, I got kicked out of honor society, and that was super disappointing to my family. Like my parents, like they weren't super. I mean, there was an expectation. My dad always really valued education, and I generally got good grades, but I wasn't like a 4-point student necessarily, and definitely but I was a good student. And I definitely like excelled up until I would say like 7th grade. And it aligns right at the time, like between my parents getting a divorce. And then I don't know. So you think about it and it's just like, was I just going through something emotionally that was causing me to kind of act out in these
or
ways?
if you were going through something socially.
Yeah, social. I think it was all of the above, right? I definitely don't blame my parents for it. I think it's just part of the experience of trying to work out your emotions through an already difficult adolescent time.
Yeah. Not knowing how to move through that and doing the best you can in a place at a time where probably both your parents were taxed.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going through a divorce. I'm a divorced person, and it is an extremely taxing time emotionally, cognitively, and that takes away from the energy and the attention that you can give to your kids.
Oh, for sure.
So there's a for lack of a better word, there's a deficit there of attention and like quality interactions. Yeah. And that's going to leave a void and a lot of confusion in a child.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it was, I mean, I don't know. I mean, over time, what I'll say is that I did feel this respect of my parents. They always respected each other even if they didn't get along, and they had such different personalities. I always looked at them and thought, like, how on earth did you two come together?
They were opposites.
They were so opposite. But they did, I think that they really were aligned in terms of the values of family and what was important. And that, I think, helped them maintain that sense of respect even when they weren't together. So, they showed up at everything together. There were lots of things that we did together. It was like there was never like this separation between, if there was any family gathering or anything, like they did it. They were at those events together, and it wasn't problematic. I never felt that tension. Maybe early on, but later definitely not. I mean, my dad was with us at the hospital when my mom was sick and all that. So,
Were you interested in psychology and therapy and stuff like that when you're in college? When did that start?
I mean, I think I always had a fascination with it. Definitely always was interested in self-development, self-improvement. I think when I took my first psychology class in college, that's probably when I found, okay, this is super interesting, when you can start to understand the theoretical perspectives of why people behave the way that they do. Then I definitely became really interested. But the path that I actually chose, I ended up becoming an advertising major in college. And I thought when I went to college, I thought I was going to be, I wanted to be a journalist. I thought I was going to, I wanted to be on TV. I wanted to be a reporter, which is so interesting. I don't know that I necessarily wanted to be on camera, but I wanted to be a reporter in some capacity.
Yeah.
But then I got to college and I was like, I hate being under this pressure of deadline. I remember being in class and them giving us an assignment and just it was so difficult. I think about the ability to think on your feet or have that witty humor. You have to have that as a reporter. You have to be able to really think quick. And one thing that I know about myself is that I process much more slowly. So that was not something that I was going to be successful at. Maybe I could have learned to adapt and learned maybe a different mechanism, but
you got the message that it wasn't something you could do with your processor speed.
Yeah, I think it was a processing speed issue because I was a really strong writer and I could definitely deliver ideas. But really, I pursued an advertising degree because I wanted to go into PR, public relations. Yeah. And that was like an emerging career at the time.
Which seems very similar to psychology,
Yeah, there
marketing.
is.
It's like, how do people think? What motivates people?
Absolutely. That's why for me, this is my second career, because my first career was in public relations prior to having kids, and I loved it. But there's so much psychology that goes into it. You know, you're thinking about behaviors, you're thinking about why are people interested in what's motivating someone towards that, all of that. So to me, when I started to think about what I wanted, it was actually my therapist. So I had the idea in my mind of maybe becoming a therapist or wanting to do that. And I was kind of embarrassed.
You were embarrassed?
I was like a little bit embarrassed to say that to my therapist.
That you want to be a therapist?
Yeah. I just felt like that she might experience that as being awkward. Like I wanted to be like her or something because she was helping me so much. I had that feeling of like, I can't tell her that I want to do that.
Okay.
But it was actually my first therapist. She was my second therapist, but she was with me through the process of my divorce. Amazing therapist. And she was like, no, you could be an excellent therapist. I believe that. And it was that validation of her seeing me in that way that was like, no, I really think that you could be good at this. And then I started to see a pathway, like seemed impossible, you know, going through a divorce, thinking, well, I actually started my graduate studies the semester before I found out I was getting a divorce. So I was already like,
you were moving that direction.
There was turmoil and stuff, and it maybe was going in that direction. But my kids were getting older. And I think something that I struggled in an early motherhood was the sense of, I was a worker. I really loved to work. I loved the feeling that I got from being able to, a lot of, I think my sense of self-identity was tied to having a career that I loved. And that was really difficult when I became a mom, is like, okay, how do I balance this conflict, this inner conflict between motherhood, seemingly feeling like, this feeling and guilt that I had, the shame of like, is this enough? Like still love this other thing too. And I will say that like that was a real struggle for me.
Career and kids.
Yeah.
Can I love both of them?
Can I live both of them without like neglecting like these two children? And I think I always struggled with that because, well, for one, I don't think it was modeled. The opposite was modeled.
You did what your mom did.
You know, so I definitely, but it felt like more out of a necessity versus something. I really loved the career that I was pursuing at the time. You know, I found a lot of, I loved doing PR.
Public relations.
Yeah, I loved public relations. And it kind of took me down some interesting pathways.
But at a certain point you thought, you know, therapy or helping people heal might be more in alignment with.
I mean, I was home. So my path of how I moved into therapy also, it's like I moved from a career where I was living in Detroit as my first career out of college. I was working at Ford Motor Company in public affairs. And then that took me to Chicago. I relocated as a contract employee and worked in media relations had a great job. But then the auto industry was really struggling and I was a contract employee. So because I had established some relationships with the people in the media and they were our clients, they encouraged me to come on as an auto editor. So it was interesting because I actually did go back into journalism. I ended up working for Consumer Guide, which is an auto editor because they wanted to build their female presence. So I was here like working with all these gearheads, learning about cars and how to write about it. It was a great job.
Yeah.
I got to drive like 2 new cars every week, top of the line, like everything
That sounds fun.
It was so fun. And
then you're writing about the cars that you're driving?
Writing against the car. And the thing about Consumer Guide is it was really highly regarded because they didn't accept any advertising. So there was a sense of like, so that, but at the time I was dating my kid's father. And he actually helped me get that job. He was like, loves cars to this day. So he helped me write about it and get the job. But he was in Miami. And so, and I was in Chicago. And we hit a crossroads where it was like, okay, this relationship is going one way or the other.
Long distance relationship.
Yeah, it was long distance. And then I relocated. It was very fast. I mean, we dated, it was really quick, really hot and heavy. And then I relocated to Miami.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so we got engaged, and then I relocated to Miami. And in Miami, that was when my PR career kind of got derailed because I was not fully bilingual, you know, and you really, if you're doing PR in a city like Miami.
The public is bilingual. They speak Spanish.
It's the first language. Nearly the first language. I mean, it was at the time, I think it was like 86% Latin.
So you needed to speak Spanish in order to relate to that public.
Oh yeah, to be able to, was conversational in Spanish, but to be able to have the confidence to do that in business, there was just no way. So I ended up going into nonprofit, and that definitely was not the best fit for me, but that was what was available to me in Miami. Mm-hmm. But I never really got back on track. And then we ended up moving to Austin. 2007. Mm-hmm. So we moved out of Miami at the height of the market right before the crash. And we thought we were just going to we could not buy anything. It was just insane. I don't know if you've ever seen The Big Short.
I have.
Yeah. So it was just like that. So we just thought, okay, well, Texas looks interesting and the economy seems like it's pretty stable. We'll just maybe like invest over here and see how things calm down. Mm-hmm. And we ended up finding a place, pre-construction. We built a house, but we kind of thought we weren't really we were kind of torn still on whether or not we were going to leave Miami. We just wanted to see how things shook out for a while. But then I ended up moving. We ended up just moving to Austin. We ended up just making the jump.
Making the move.
Mm-hmm. And that was a good decision at the time because the market took a long time for that market to recover. As you know, like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
you're coming to Austin. At this point, do you have kiddos?
2007, no kids.
Yeah. You and your husband.
Pregnant right away, within the first year. Yeah. So at that point, like I think that was really where I started to lose my sense of career, like what I was going to do. Because at that time, then I was like stepping into this role
motherhood,
of being a mom. Yeah. You know? Yeah. It was really interesting.
How did you guys grow apart? Like, what happened there?
In the marriage?
Mm-hmm. Oof. You might not want to talk about it, and that's fine.
Yeah. I mean, that's an area I'm probably a little bit more sensitive to.
Yeah. Makes sense.
But yeah, I mean, what I will say, okay, here's what I'll say. And I think this kind of ties back into what we talked about earlier, is that really what I realized, and my kids have asked this, so I think I'm perfectly fine sharing it, is that they look at their dad and they look at me and they're like, you guys are so different. And at the time I didn't really see us.
You said the same thing about your mom and your dad.
Yeah. Well, that ties into psychology, right?
You found the same dynamic that your parents were.
I'll tie that in. And that is evidence-based. I mean, we know that what we know now is that individuals will gravitate towards someone who has both positive and negative attributes of their primary caregivers. So you tend to gravitate to what's familiar, not necessarily what you should gravitate towards, but what is familiar to you. Yeah. And so, you know, it was very, like, from the time that we met to the time that we got married, we were together a year. And so when my kids have asked me, like, their experience now is like, you and my dad are so different. And I've said to them, I was like, you know, at the time, like, I just don't think we took as much time to get to know each other, like truly know each other. It was, at the end of the day, like, you know, it takes time to really understand.
Yeah.
And I would say that the demise of our relationship was our values being in misalignment, valuing different things and to different degrees.
Yeah.
You know, and that's not to say that my values are better or that his are worse or anything like that. It's just to say that, like, we value different things. And at the end of the day, that was where the relationship failed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was around just before that you decided to go into to help.
So we were together. I mean, we were married 10 years. Yeah. So it was a long time. And there were lots of challenges in between, lots of hardship, lots of struggle.
Did you go back into PR here in Austin?
So I think I did so many different things trying to find my footing. But when it came down to it, I didn't have any connections here. We didn't have any family. We had no support system. We came to Miami. Like, his family is from South America. My family's in Michigan.
Yeah.
We had no one.
You had
we
to
develop.
Start everything.
We had to
from
start
scratch.
everything from scratch.
Yeah.
And when you don't have a support system, it is so hard.
Yeah.
And at this point, like, I was spending a lot of time with my kids. I was stepping into that role of motherhood. And I started to get further and further away from what felt like an industry that was just so rapidly changing, and I was not keeping up.
Yeah.
You know, and you think about like then social media. And I remember when I left Miami, like, then you see like Facebook and then the text, like then social media is emerging, right? And there's all these things. I remember like being a stay-at-home mom for periods, and I dabbled in different things, but it was like I could never decide between like, am I going to be all this? Am I going to be all stay-at-home or all? So we had support at different times, and I had some great caretakers, some great nannies that were like second moms to me. I needed that. Like, I didn't have my mom right there. You know, my family's in Michigan.
Yeah.
His family's in South America. So it was like we really just we had to build a community from the ground up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I started to lose confidence in the area of like, could I ever get back to PR or advertising? Like it's been, 4 or 5 years at this point. Mm-hmm. And then, at one point I started a business. I worked in outside sales for a little bit. I dabbled in so many different things trying to find my footing and
trying to find your way.
Yeah. And I felt like something for me it was really difficult for me to feel like my contribution was being valued because I looked at it from like this idea of my value being attached to like bringing in an income and feeling like it wasn't, I don't know, that was hard for me, I think. I don't know why. Maybe from a place of fear, feeling like, one thing I learned from my mom, and I think that the intention and why she pushed this was definitely for her, I think, coming from a place of fear and what she'd experienced, where it was like, you gotta be able to stand on your own 2 feet always.
Mm-hmm. Independence.
This hyper kind of independence, but that was also coming from like a fear-based place of like, okay, where is this? Where is this? What if this breaks down? What am I going to do? So there's always in the back of my head this feeling like if something breaks down, and I don't know, even if my marriage was healthier or looked healthier in different ways, then would I still have experienced that? I think so, to a degree, because that's how I experienced that reality. It was like, well,
that was what you got from your childhood.
Mm-hmm. That was what I took from my childhood.
Probably observing your mom and the way that she...
I think also just coming from a family where your parents do get divorced.
Yeah.
Like there's always a sense of feeling like, what if? What if though?
What if though?
What if you have to provide for yourself and your kids? What if something breaks down? What are you going to do? So there's always this sense of like, I have to have something. And
the universe kind of gave you that, huh? When you got divorced, you had to provide for yourself and the kids.
Yeah, and I had a lot of help. We definitely had arrangements that helped me get through school and provided for me and that, and I'm super grateful for that. Mm-hmm. I'm sure that there's ways we both would have liked that to look different, but I was able to get through school. At times, there was times I didn't know how I was going to get there, but I remember just feeling like the one thing that I would say with my personality is like, it was just grit. It was sort of like, I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah. You said grit.
Yeah. It was just like, there is an aspect of my personality that maybe to a degree that might not even be fully healthy. It's like, I'm not going to let myself think of the negative out. I'm just going to figure out how to make this happen no matter what.
You don't think that's healthy?
I think it is. It can be healthy.
What is it? But not being, what would that be? What would be the healthy side of that? Be balanced with your expectations of what you can do or something?
That are realistic. And
not pushing yourself so hard or something?
That's how I would relate to it. It's sort of just not pushing, okay, doing whatever it takes. And kind of throwing myself into this state of overwork.
Yeah, instead of like self-care, self-compassion, like really letting yourself rest.
Yeah.
Giving yourself a manageable goal or giving yourself time to get to a goal as opposed to doing it all now or rushing. I
don't think I ever learned how to be still as a kid.
You didn't?
No, I don't think I ever really, it took me time. And even as that was something that became very clear to me when I stopped relying, maybe there's some avoidance with, as a kid, like you're turning towards these substances and things. I think there's a lot there that people turn to these maladaptive coping strategies to.
Yeah.
Instead of like sitting with the emotions. Being still. Once I had to really sit with my emotions, I found that so difficult.
Me too.
I found it so difficult.
That's when I just released the Mamata Misra, who is the teacher of mindfulness-based stress reduction, the John Kabat-Zinn thing. And a big part of that is like being with your emotions.
Right. Yeah.
I've spent so much of my life distracting myself from my emotions, running away, whether it was through substances or maybe throwing myself into, I don't know. It just seems like I was never, like you said, never slowing down.
Right.
Never being still enough to look inward at like, what's going on?
Right.
Like, how do you feel about the world? How do you feel about your place in the world? How do you feel? Yeah. It's hard to change and grow if you're not responding to emotions are there to help you.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But you have to get the messages and the lessons from them in order to then be changed by them.
Well, I think something that I learned was that how did I cope with emotions? And one way that I coped with emotions was through just overcompensating.
Working harder.
Just
going to work harder.
Yeah. But I do, being in a profession where you really have to be self-regulated. You have to regulate yourself and make sure that you're, there's this constant thing of like checking in with myself and being like, okay, am I in a good place to where I can be there for my clients, to where I can. Yeah. And so I think that's where jujitsu and having jujitsu and having a workout routine, I lift a lot of weights, like doing those things, like those are my forms of self-care. And they can look, and sometimes it's like today it was recognizing that the thing that I need isn't going to be fast paced. It's going to be, how do I get my nervous system to slow down?
Yeah.
I think there's this idea of like, I had to learn this as a parent because with boys, they're so high energy. Everybody kept saying, I was like, why can't I get them to go to bed at night? Like, why? And everybody was like, oh, you just got to wear them out even more. I was dysregulating their nervous systems because I was expecting too much. And what we really needed, and this took me having, one of the best things we ever did, or I ever did for my family, with our dad, was bringing in like an occupational therapist and having her look at the ways, being a parent that has like a high degree of distractibility. I was completely overwhelmed at times. I was completely shut down where I was losing track of things. I mean, this has been something anyone that knows me will say, like,
inattentive. That's that inattentive part. Yeah.
Has been something I struggled with. Time management, struggled with my whole life. Still struggle with it to this day, but I've learned structures and systems to help keep things in place. And having someone come in and be able to look at my household and say like, okay, this is what she worked with all of us. She worked with me on like some of my sensory processing issues and finding ways that I was like getting overwhelmed, or being able to help both of my sons, seeing them sort of individually and what they individually needed. We played a lot of games. We just sat down and played a lot of games. That was something I don't remember. I think I did that with my siblings, but I never remember like sitting. Something I still need to do more with my kids is like just sit down, like
play games, just spend time.
Just slow, things that were slow, that wasn't like, because it was easy for me to take them to the park and let them run around, and I would be doing all those active things with them. But slowing down and doing the things that are down regulating was very difficult for me.
And that's really important. I think about it like teaching babies how to sleep. A part of that is you know, them developing the skill of self-soothing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's something that they benefit from having support to do it. That like down regulating but also a little bit of separation to do it too. There needs to be some ebb and flow between like, I'm here for you, but you kind of have to self-soothe, but I can be a soothing energy or a soothing kind of presence.
Yeah.
And then kind of backpedal a little bit and be a soothing presence 10 feet away, and then maybe a soothing presence 15 feet away.
Yes. I mean, I think the thing that I've worked so hard, and it's the thing that I most want to cultivate in my home, is having home be this place of peace, where it's not this place of doing, and just being able to sit and relax with them and be able to do something like going on it. We hike a lot together. We go on a lot of walks. That's probably some of the times when I get the most out of them, because we're doing something active, but it's also like we're hiking, we're on a trail together, and there's no escaping. Like, we're here together. You're not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, so we're here together in nature. I think nature's medicine, movement's medicine. It's also something that's great to impart on your kiddos, a love of nature.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially in a world where we're so frequently drawn to the digital or the virtual.
It's so important. So we're lucky. We're here in Austin with, we have a lot of sun, a lot of nature around us. So
yeah. Did you use those notes? You got like notes on notes in there. It was
interesting.
Did it make you feel better having them?
I think it made me feel better to prepare, to like organize my ideas. I think it's one of those things that's like, how do you prepare for something that you're not sure what's going to come up? So I tried to just think about what questions might be asked of me. And it was interesting because I went back to, I was going through because I had written some papers on narcissism in college. So it was nice to like, I had papers printed out that were already there. So I was like, oh, I can pull from this. And it was nice to like go back and read some of the things that I had explored in my graduate studies.
Would you share those papers with people if they wanted to know?
Oh, yeah, sure. I mean,
I was just going to tell the camera there, if y'all want to know, if you want to read Jamie's writings, are they essays? What would you call them?
No, so this was like peer-reviewed studies that I had printed out.
Yeah, dude, if y'all want to check out these peer-reviewed studies on narcissism personality disorder that Jamie wrote, hit us up. I didn't
write them. These are like peer-reviewed studies that I used to do the research for
your writing.
I did write a paper on it, and I couldn't find it. I couldn't find the paper that I wrote, but
well, don't ask us for that. Then. We can't find that.
I gotta find it.
We can't find it.
I had it like
Jamie might be able to find it, but
I might be able to find it.
Yeah. Just if you pressure us,
It was about the narcissism spectrum though, because that was something when I started to explore NPD I wasn't as familiar with the vulnerability aspect of narcissism.
Yeah, the other side of it. Yeah. Is there anything that you felt like's been unsaid about your childhood and your life story? Something we missed? Some question that I didn't answer that you would have liked to have been asked?
I don't know. I mean, what I'll say is that I do think that one of the things that I've been able to connect with other people is that I've had some of the experience of like going through some of my own struggle. Like everybody goes through their own personal struggles, but being able to have that relatability of and then seeing the other side. One of the things I love working with co-occurring disorders for that reason. And I tend to not be like black and white about any specific thing that helps someone get to the other side of addiction. But I really love working with that co-occurring aspect because I've been able to change my I definitely used alcohol as a coping scale from 15 all the way to 25 and maybe even, to some degree throughout my marriage in ways that I maybe wasn't acknowledging the extent of, just like in that increasing like low level agitation. Yeah. But now it's like I've been able to just kind of through the process of kind of personal growth reevaluate my relationship with alcohol to where I've worked out some of the things that were drawing me towards it through therapy, through going through my own therapy, and then realizing, okay, this isn't as much of a trigger for me. Like, I don't need to rely on this thing. And I think it's different for everyone.
Yeah.
Certainly I've worked with people where they might never be able to take another sip of alcohol again, or choose insert drug of choice, right? Like, it might be that type of thing that they have to come to that acceptance of, like, okay, you've done this a million times, and like, we have to just come to terms with, maybe there's no,
say bye-bye to that,
but I also think it's both and, right? Then I've also seen people kind of reshape their relationship with things that they used to turn to because they've done the inner work that allowed them to gain insight to what led them to those behaviors.
Think of Gabor Mate's stuff in the realm of Hungry Ghosts, and the way he talks about addiction, that it's a symptom of an underlying thing. And what I hear from you is that if you manage that underlying issue, that this thing is no longer, their relationship with alcohol or relationship to whatever the substance is changes, where it can be maybe recreational, or it can be this medicine that it really is. Like, alcohol doesn't have to be a coping strategy. It can be just a celebratory act, or, you know, a one-off.
Yeah, and I will say, like, I have a very strong history of alcoholism in my family.
Yeah.
And for me, I never processed it well.
Yeah.
And I think the Huberman Lab does they have the alcohol, he has a podcast on alcohol, and I learned so much from that. I thought I knew a lot about it, but it was interesting because one of the ways in which he characterizes a dependence, or someone who's at high risk for developing alcohol use disorder, is the ability to kind of continue consuming without having any perceived negative side effects. So that person that looks like they can drink and drink and drink and drink, but it's not showing up.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, having very little and it going to extremes, blacking out, like losing your ability to, losing your prefrontal cortex right away. So both are risk factors. And I think for me, it was like that, identifying that, okay, I have all the precursors that if I continue down this path, this could look bad, So there's always that recognition. And so it's always in the back of my mind. And when I go through something really stressful, it's always in the back of my mind. Like, I'm not going to have that around. I don't feel drawn to it anyway. Yeah. But it became very clear to me. And I think about it when I went through my divorce. I was just like, I'm not going to have that be anything that is going to become something that I turn to. So that's when I turned to jujitsu.
Turn to the weights, turn to riding bikes or running, rock climbing, jujitsu, turn to something that's healthy, that is an investment in your body. Yeah. I believe in that.
So if I were going to leave with anything, it's really kind of that personal experience, my passion for jujitsu.
Yeah.
Comes through a lot in therapy and I love it because what it did for me is we talk about the biopsychosocial perspective. Right?
Yes.
So you have the physiological response.
Yeah, the changes in your body that occurs through that investment in yourself and the practice.
Well, and not only that, but the actual physical connection, because jiu-jitsu
it's a hug. It's a bunch of hugging.
Like you're hugging.
Yeah.
So there's so much physical contact, and when
it's like strategic hugging.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So there's the physiological effects of like having that closeness, physical touch, which for me, why it was so helpful in my marriage is I wasn't having that. I no longer have this core relationship that's providing me with this level of intimacy. And now, and when you do jujitsu, it's such a cognitive process. It's like you're thinking 2-3 steps ahead. And so you have that physiological effect, which I would say you have to develop trust with your teammates. So it's kind of like this oxytocin.
That's the social part. You got the teammates, you got this community.
Yeah. So you have the sense of community, but you have the physiological response of like building a bond, that oxytocin that comes from like having physical touch and building a bond of connection in that way. And then obviously like there's a lot of dopamine too. You have this motivation to excel or to it can be very addictive. For me, it was like, okay, I want to continue to do this thing. And there was so much motivation towards doing this thing. And then it became like a family affair. I mean, I put my kids in it first. I didn't even know what it was. And I was like, that looks so fun.
Well, it had a holistic benefit.
Yeah, there was, and for the reason why I introduced my kids to it was because I could see that they so desperately needed a physical outlet for all this boy energy, which is so discouraged in our, educational institutions. Like, it's so hard for boys. They're not meant to sit still and be in these spaces and have the sustained attention. And it's difficult for girls too in different ways.
Yeah.
But it's just not conducive to the need to just get out this energy. And I also needed something that I could bond with them in a way that was like physical but healthy. So
you found it in jiu-jitsu.
So I found it in jiu-jitsu. And what I say to people in the therapeutic process is like, look, for me, it was jiu-jitsu because it gave me the sense of connection, physical touch. It also helped me build this community, and it was challenging.
Yeah.
So it hits all these areas where, if you think, and there's also this motivation of like keeping yourself healthy so you can train.
So you can do it. Yeah.
So my lifestyle changed as a result of it because the people that I was hanging out with were not going out and drinking or partying.
Yeah.
Like we wanted to train the next day. So I can't speak enough to
find your movement
find your
medicine.
jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. Find whatever jiu-jitsu is for you.
Find whatever jiu-jitsu is for you and see how having something that has all these benefits can impact your life. So,
You're awesome. Can we play one game before we wrap up?
Sure.
I'm gonna go grab
It's your
something.
show.
We're co-creating it, Jamie.
Okay.
You can always say no.
I think it's a little late for no now. I'll just sit here with my anxious anticipation for what silly move am I going to have to perform next.
Let's see. We're gonna do one last fun, creative. Put your notes away. You won't need those notes for this. You won't need your notes.
All right.
We're going to do one fun, creative, just explore, but it's also exploring who you are, where you've been, where you're going, and through the realm of tarot cards.
Oh, nice. Awesome.
So first, we're going to pick from these archetype deck. Shuffle those up.
Okay.
This is the Wild Unknown archetype deck.
How do you shuffle around deck?
Good question. That's your first challenge.
Okay, let me see.
Oh my goodness. I have faith in you. I trust you. You could cut it a bunch. How you mix them up is your way. Look at you go. You're figuring it out.
Right.
You feel comfortable with that?
So.
Where's your card in there? Where is it?
Grab one?
Is it in the top? Is it on the bottom? Is it in the middle?
Somewhere in the middle, I would say.
Yeah, it's somewhere in the middle. Find it.
Grab it?
Yeah, find it for me.
All right.
You have to find it. Yeah, you can hand it to me. You can keep it too. Oh my God. Okay.
Okay.
So hold that.
Do I look at it?
You can.
Okay.
There's no rules.
Okay.
Okay. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to shuffle these. I need to find more abnormally shaped cards for folks. It's like kind of to make it awkward for them to shuffle. These are normal cards, so they'll be easier to shuffle. Oh, those are well unknown. Those are different. Here you go. This is the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck, which is kind of like the classic tarot deck. A lot of folks know this as the iconic tarot.
Okay. Do I
shuffle that a couple times and cut it? Put it in the order that you like, and then pick 3 cards from it. You could pick them from the top, the bottom, the middle, but they're your cards. All right. And then hand those to me. Okay. First, let's look at the kind of...
This one?
Yeah. Okay. That one is the... What's it say?
The thread.
The thread. So think of this card, this archetype card, as the part of yourself that's getting the reading.
Okay.
Think of the whole reading through the lens of this.
Okay. I think I got it.
The thread is, what number is that?
What is L in Roman?
Like 20? I don't know. That's a good question. It's after X's. Oh, there it is.
It's LXX.
Oh, it's LXX? Okay. LXX.
I don't know what the L is.
I don't know what it is either. We're all learning here. The thread. Okay. What do you see when you look at that card, that illustration? What does it show you?
There's a hand with something that to me resembles some sort of a sword.
Yeah.
And it's one of those, I can't tell if I see the shape or the background around it. There's kind of a contrast that's almost like you're looking at an optical illusion.
Okay.
Which one should I pay more attention to?
Mm-hmm. Let me see.
So.
Which one do you want to pay more attention to?
I mean, what stands out to me the most is the shape of this sort of triangle thing, but I'm more captivated by what's around it.
There's this like upside down rainbow. This looks like a Rorschach test.
Yeah, I keep wanting to look and focus more on the clouds or whatever.
Well, what's in the clouds? What's up with the clouds? I don't know if it's
clouds or how do you describe it?
Yeah, good question. The path, the vein, the circuit. Life is a tangle. So much happens simultaneously and circuitously, leaving us grappling for meaning and direction in a network of distractions. When we connect to the energy of the thread, however, we strike the deepest vein in the body. Our whole being responds to its tug. Meaning is pumped through our bloodstream. Our mind and spirits are lifted. We remember who we are and what we came into this world to do. Though this happens on the most profound level, it could be the simplest incident that activates the thread. A song, an image, a conversation heard in passing. No matter how confusing and multi-layered our modern lives become, if we are connected to the thread, we are free. Being tethered to it is the only anchor our heart requires. You may think you have to find the thread and pull it. Imagine, though, that it's already tied around you, waiting for you to follow it home.
Mm-hmm.
Recall a moment in your life when you felt fully alive. The thread is waiting for you and the details of that memory. It's waiting for you amid the details of that memory. The thread is there in your passions and your excitements, in the places where you feel most alive. It's informative.
Yeah.
The meaning within chaos. I like that.
I like it. That's really cool.
Yeah. What does it mean to you?
I think it talks about being tethered to something. For me, I think that, like when I thought of it, I think about, I don't know, my relationship with God. Like no matter what's happening around me, like I'm just tethered to this thing, this grounding. So
yeah,
that's sort of what I was reflecting on.
Some relationship to God or spirituality.
Yeah.
Some like higher purpose.
Higher purpose. With respect to whatever that is for every individual, for me,
what it is for you.
Yeah, what it is for me is like my relationship with God and being tethered to that. Being able to, I think, see that no matter what happening around you, the chaos around you, just being tethered and grounded by that belief. I
like it.
Yeah.
This is a past card, a present card, and a future card.
Okay.
You pulled these in that order, past, present, future. And this is the past card.
Okay.
I wonder what it is.
I No idea.
What is it? Let's see. It looks like a wands card, but how many wands are there?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
6 of wands. Okay,
This is the past, right?
This is your
It's
past.
interesting that she's on a horse.
Yeah, tell me about the card. What do you see?
Well, I don't know that I shared this, but I grew up showing horses.
Really?
And that's something that it's interesting because that's something that I feel so disconnected from. That was such a huge part of my childhood. I grew up showing horses, being active on the quarter horse circuit from the time I was 9 all the way till I went to college when I was 16. So when I see that, I'm like, oh.
Your past.
It connects to my past.
Being on a horse. The number 6 in a numerology perspective, all these have symbology. The tarot is just rife with it. And one of those is numerology. Let me see. The number 6 is the number of caring, compassion, and community. It signifies a period of calm after the storm when you tend to everybody's needs or everyday needs, rest, and establish harmony in your immediate surroundings. And the cups the wands, we're in Wandsville. The wands it's a fire element suit. It's outwardly directed, it's active, it's linked with will, self-expression, and inspiration. It suggests expansion and personal power. Yeah. And the 6 of wands in particular, the keywords are victory, success, recognition, and satisfaction. The 6 of wands is the victory card.
Interesting.
You face challenges, won the fight, and deserve the accolades you receive. Success and good fortune are yours. The 6 of wands promises a time of happiness and fulfillment. You've marshaled your energies during times of struggle and overcome obstacles. Now you're on top and can expect recognition and rewards. You feel good about yourself and your accomplishments. And sometimes this card can show recovery from a setback or from illness. Yeah.
So it's tied to the past, but this reading is a representation of the past.
This is, card, that's your past card.
Okay. Yeah.
So how does that feel? And think of the past as like everything before right now.
Yeah, I was going to say, what do we define as the past?
Well, the present moment is now.
Right.
The thing that we're sharing, this present moment, it's small slices. But everything that's before now, the past, is that. And it can go back as far as when you were on those quarter horses.
Right.
Or it can go back as far as when you navigated a divorce and overcame that and tried to find a career and found yourself embarking on a new education, educating yourself in psychology and therapy and helping people and coming to, I'm sure, a lot of small victories along that journey.
I mean, definitely when I think about like overcoming obstacles, for sure, because again, it was the path to getting to the place where I am now and becoming, working with people. That path there was a lot of struggle in between. Yeah. So for sure.
Yeah. Okay. You ready for number 2? This is present card.
Okay.
Your present card. I'll let you see it first and let me know. What do you see?
Is this a coffin? What is this?
What does it say?
It just has, I guess it's a 4.
What are there cups, wands? Are there swords? Okay, it's a 4 of swords. Swords are that's a powerful suit, I think. Swords are air element, and they're related to the cutting weapon of intellect. It symbolizes rational thinking, logic, analysis, communication, and the power of the mind.
Oh, I love that.
Is the swords.
Ooh, that's interesting.
And there's 4 of them?
Yep, there's 4.
What do you see on the card? What's going on there?
I mean, at first it was like, is this person sleeping? Is she?
Yeah, are they sleeping?
Yeah, are they? It almost looks like a coffin. I don't know if that's what it is.
Yeah?
But maybe not. Because it's not open. It's like there's laying on top of whatever.
There's someone laying down.
Yeah, they're laying down.
Could they be resting?
Yeah, sure. She has her hands, or I don't know if it's a female or a male, but her hands are kind of like in a prayer position.
Yeah. The 4 of Swords symbolizes rest, recuperation, retreat, solitude, introspective, and recovery. The 4 symbolizes stability. It represents withdrawing and resting in order to get your bearings after a time of trouble. It shows a knight lying down, recuperating after an inner or outer battle.
Yeah.
Often this card means you've been through a period of difficulty and now feel the need for introspective and solitude. This is really, it works well with your past card.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think it does speak to kind of where I am in the right now, in the here and now. Is definitely this period of rest, and maybe I'm sort of coming out of this phase which has looked more like introversion for me, more solitude, self-reflection, and I'm starting to get to a place where I'm feeling like that desire to move towards more social connection. But I'm still sort of in this place of introspection, solitude, navigating this space where it still feels really good to be alone.
Yeah, it says examining what you've experienced, trying to understand what it all means, so you can plan for your future. This is the calm after the storm card.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Sometimes it shows you're starting to recover after a physical illness or injury, which is so similar to the last one for the past. So it's almost like that.
What if everything up till now has felt like a storm?
Yeah. What if it has?
It has.
And now you're
not saying that there's not periods of calm within a storm, but like, it still felt pretty stormy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's not all bad or good.
It's not all bad or good. But now there's a period of solitude or reflection and introspection to figure out like what's next. I like that. That's a good one. Yeah. Huh. And your future card.
Ooh. Okay. The Hierophant.
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 Or Hierophant. Okay. That's one of the major arcana. What number is that? I think it's like
5.
Yeah. That's a good one. I like that one. What do you see on the card?
She looks like a queen.
A queen, huh?
Yeah.
What do you think of when you think of a queen?
What do I think of when I think of, I don't know, some like maybe the matriarch.
Matriarch?
Yeah.
As a leader.
Yeah. Leadership. Those maternal qualities, maybe.
You're fine. I'm just moving it around.
It's interesting, too, because there's 2 people at the bottom.
Yeah, I see them people. Keywords are spiritual, authority, leadership, tradition, and institutions. It's a figure of authority and power, like the emperor, but the Hierophant's power is of a spiritual nature. Shown as a religious leader, and some decks call him the Pope. Sometimes he's seated on a throne, dressed in a priestly raiment, crowned and holding a scepter. Goodness, I'm butchering these words. So it can indicate that you're trying to break away from religious influences or dictates. In a broad sense, this card can refer to any organized institution, religious or otherwise, that exerts authority over its followers. Let's see. The Hierophant says you choose to live according to the beliefs you share with a group or organization. It serves you in many ways. You derive security from knowing the rules and where you fit in. Aligning yourself with this group helps you achieve your goals. You might even be the leader, aspire to assume that position, or have close relationship with the leader. Interesting.
That is interesting.
That's
I'm
an
not sure what
interesting
to
one.
make of that one.
Well, you won't know until you go into the future. But it's something about leadership,
Yeah.
tradition.
Yeah, I could see that. It kind of does play into some of the things that I have that I'm thinking of planning.
That you're building.
Future. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the future card. It might not make total sense right
Yeah.
now.
Is it supposed to? I don't think so, right?
No. What do you think about it?
I mean, definitely the leadership part speaks to me. It seems, when I think about that, it's sort of this momentum towards starting something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know what that looks like yet. But
Look, yeah. you don't know.
momentum towards starting something new. And the leadership part of that being coming up with idea, implementing the idea, maybe building the supports that I need. So yeah, I don't know.
I like it.
Yeah, I have lots of ideas. We'll see how I do on the execution.
I'm sure the execution will be wonderful. This has been a ton of fun, Jamie.
It's been fun.
I really enjoyed
thank you
this.
so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Heck yeah. And I look forward to sharing other conversations about different modalities of healing, as well as other kind of expressions, human expressions.
Yeah, I love
This is the first of many conversations we can have.
So.
Yeah. This has been Phil Phails with my guest, Jamie Figari. She's an LCSW and a holistic psychotherapist. We've been talking about Phil Phails at Narcissism and having a ton of fun.
Yeah, this was super fun. Thank you for pushing me out of my serious zone.
Yeah.
That's comfortable, making me be silly.
Yeah, we were silly.
Yeah.
We were a little mystical here. Got into some creative interpretation. And we talked a lot about narcissism.
Yeah.
Next time, we'll have to figure out what we'll talk about next time.
So many things.
Yeah. We'll think about what you're excited about in the days after this, like what you're drawn to, what you're excited about, whether it's a healing modality or if it's a human expression or a disorder.
Yeah.
Because we follow that thread, right?
I have some ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I do have some ideas.
Can we conclude with a hug? I know you're a hugger.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a hugger.
Push this way. Oop. Now push this way. Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Thank you for listening.
That's it. You can wave to everybody. Bye. Bye.